Are you a brewhead? I'm a brewhead. Are you a brewhead? I'm a brewhead. Y'all are brewheads? Yeah, we brewheads. So pour a glass of craft beer, we can do this. Yeah.
What's good, y'all? This is C-Certified Brewhead, and welcome to episode 216 of Beer and Other Shit, the podcast, Adjunct series. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to one of my favorite regions in the province, if not the country, this evening, down to the, I guess you would be the Benchlands, I guess it's called, which will is a bit of a hint there of the Niagara region, which is awesome because we used to come from Montreal to go and visit the region, and now we're 30 minutes away. It's glorious. And this is a brewery. We've had a couple people on from this wonderful place, but we've never had the founder. And I'm very excited tonight to bring this gentleman on and to get the full story behind it. Even just talking off air, there was a whole bunch of stuff that I wasn't aware of, and I'm looking forward to sort of piecing that story together. So this is going to be a banger. So ladies and gentlemen, let me just get this and do it as smooth as I can. Here we go. Please welcome Matt Giffen of Bench Brewery in the building. Welcome. So, that was an intense. This is a new one. I meant to press this one. There we go.
That's awesome.
I was like, damn. Matt,
hear that
welcome, brother.
Great to be here. Thank you very much for having me.
Such a pleasure. Great to finally meet you. We're going to get into it, but yes, we've sort of been around each other somewhat since 2018-ish, I believe.
Right.
In the is that right? Was it 2018 or was it before then?
We opened our doors 2018. Exactly right.
So maybe it was 2017 then, when it was all the pre-work because the brewery wasn't open.
Yeah, the folks they were brewing with construction helmets. That's right.
Yeah, jeez. Okay, we should definitely get into that. This is something I actually forgot to do off air. First beer. Where shall we start? We have you've curated a fantastic lineup of bench beers tonight. What are we thinking, man?
Yeah, I'm thinking probably Bell's Falls. It is our most popular beer and certainly most widely distributed. So, and my second favorite.
Second favorite. Ooh, we got a bunch. I love the new designs. Is this relatively new? At least I
it is.
I've seen.
Yeah. Last year.
Okay.
Finally decided to lean into our sustainability story, so we started putting it on our can. I
love it. Tell us about this one. I when I first heard of this beer, I lived in Montreal, so I didn't know, but now I'm in Hamilton, so I'm close by. It's a real place. It's not too far from the brewery, which is sick.
Not too far. Yeah. Conservation area, UNESCO site. And just a really kind of cool place.
I love it. Was this the first beer that you guys did, or was it?
This is our first beer.
That's what I thought.
So this was we brewed this basically while we were constructing our brewery. So it's the OG of Bench, and it's one that the LCBO said we want this one. We gave them two choices, and they chose this one, and we went, "Are you sure?" And in retrospect, they were spot on, and thank goodness this is a far best seller.
I'm not surprised. I feel like and this is Session IPA as well, specifically at 5.
Session IPA,
4.5.
That's right.
At 4.5. Session Hazy. Has it changed in the haziness? Was it ever like an American IPA, or it's always been like this?
It's always been Session. It's always had some degree of haze. We always like that in the majority of our beers. It's remained true to style since day one. It's tried and true, and everyone said don't change it.
Don't change it. I love it. Matt,
cheers.
Great to meet you, brother. Cheers.
Great to meet you. Cheers.
Nice tropical nose though. As suggested, nice Session IPA, great mouthfeel, light, not over the top, which is what you would expect. Nice tropical, bit of mango in there, like pithy citrus.
Grapefruit.
Yep. Grapefruit. Do you know the hops off the top of your head at all?
Simcoe and Mosaic. It's pretty standard.
Well, classics.
Yeah, it's a beauty, and definitely our best seller for sure.
Yeah, which is awesome. Was that so? When you did start, so you had Falls Falls, and you said there was another one. Was there just like 2 beers at the time that you had more of a sweeter beer?
We did. It was then our subsequently our second beer, and it was the 20 Mile Farmhouse. It's St. John effectively. And we love that because that was kind of our way of saying, hey, we're a farmhouse style brewery. We're in a rural area. We want to have that farmhouse style of brewing with a lot of our inputs and ingredients from about 5 kilometers around us. And the LCBO said, yeah, no, why don't you wait? So we got it in the second year, and it was great. It was the number 1 selling farmhouse ale, but that's a category about this big. So we realized that, Ontario, we're pretty good with session IPA. So it's something that we continue to brew more on our pilot system. We just did a Saison that I actually did with our head brewer, Shane Sawchuk, which was a lot of fun. But that's kind of where we landed, and thank goodness we did.
That's great, man. I love it. And this would it be fair to also say, is this a flagship beer?
It's a flagship. Yeah, absolutely.
Flagship beer?
Yes.
And is it the bestseller?
It's the bestseller.
The bestseller. Okay, to this day. And this available basically all over the province, right? Like this is province-wide LCBO.
Absolutely. LCBO grocery. We have a mixed pack at Costco, of which it's one of the 3 beers. So yeah, it's right across. So it's sessionable. It's easy drinking. It's not overpowering. It's session IPA, so I love it. You can have more than 1 or 2 in a session. So yeah, it's a real workhorse.
Yeah, this is definitely a banger. It's I haven't had it in a little bit, so it's nice to get into it again and just be reminded, that this is a type of like the day-to-day. You don't have to think about it too much, and it just does the trick. Particularly where you guys are at as well. Like usually, the story which we'll get into, but you were is it fair to also say like, are you still the only brewery in the region? Or I guess it's Newark, is close-ish.
Yeah, Newark's in Beamsville. And yeah, there's a whole bunch in our area. Yeah, it's just Newark.
Okay.
Just Newark and
okay, that's it there. So it was, you guys were the only brewery for quite some time.
For quite some time,
the wine region of Beamsville, yeah. Which was always like the cool story that when on social to be telling that, as far as the storytelling, that after, wineries always close so damn early. And you guys were open 9. So it was kind of perfect.
It is. And, we're so lucky. We're surrounded by some of the best wineries, in my view, in the province and in the country.
I agree.
And you're right. They shut down at 5. And so the folks will come over. And but it's just a great neighborhood, for lack of a better term. And we're located on King Street, which is technically the wine route. About 1.3 million people go past us every year. So there's a lot of traffic, yet still urban, or still, I should say, rural. So it's a great feel.
Yeah, it's a perfect location, and you're really like stone's throw from so many fantastic wineries as well. So it's sort of, if you're doing that real tight region, even with King Street alone, there's tens of wineries there. So it's kind of like It's perfect, and you can't miss it. It's a campus. It's a bench. It's pretty sick. And I remember the joke always being like, and I know it's silly, but like the husbands being dragged along for the wine days, and just like, gosh, they can go to bench and then have some great food and some beers and stuff, and sort of balance it all out. So it's that was a really genius move as well, being the first brewery in the region and having such an impactful campus that's so like, whoa, like the size of it it's pretty, like, it's crazy, and very, like, even in the beer world period, not even just the region, it's like it's relatively unheard of. So it's
seriously, thank you. Yeah, and that was the old Maple Grove School, built in 1943.
Yeah, right.
Is the 3rd iteration. First one was 1869. So there's so much history in that schoolhouse, and then the St. Helens Church which is also on the property, same, built in the 40s. Really special from a historical perspective in the region. So yeah, like honestly, I was growing grapes first. So I was growing grapes before hops. And I was in the area and that's how I got to know the area, and just fell in love with it. Many years ago, my wife and I got married in Niagara Lake, and I always loved this separate area. This area between Grimsby and St. Catharines, this Niagara's Benchlands, as they used to call it, the 20 Valley. It just had the real, like, it's got a nice topography. It's got that authenticity. There's such great farming. The soil, the climate is so incredible. So fell in love with it, and that's I knew that we were overseas for quite some time. We came back, and that's kind of where I wanted to be. So yeah, really, I couldn't be happier. And as we always say, that we won the lottery when we opened our doors in the town of Lincoln, for sure.
I couldn't agree more, man. That's awesome. Well, let's get into the story, since you already said we started there. I'd love to start like how you discovered craft beer and like an interest in that, and then talk us definitely through the grape growing and everything into how the brewery came about.
So we were overseas for a bit, and 5 of those years were in London, and I was the place that we lived was in Fulham, and I worked in the city, but it was in Fulham, and it was an amazing pub that had all these incredible Belgian style beers. It was just spectacular. The whole gamut. It's called the White Horse in Parsons Green, and just an incredible array of Belgian beers. So that's really it was my introduction to Belgian style. And I said, wow, this is amazing. So, made the trips as frequently as possible, and knew that if there was ever going to be a time that I was involved in craft beer or making beer in general, it had to have some of that style and that focus. So it was just being there and just experiencing it first hand, I should say, and just loved it. But I never really thought that wasn't a goal for me that I'm gonna build a craft brewery. I was in the corporate world for about 24, 25 years, and I knew that when I was done that, I wanted to start a company. I wanted to start from scratch. I wanted to build a company that was impactful within its community, impactful for folks that work there, and if it was craft beer, well, that's a good thing too. So that's kind of how it worked out, and I'm so happy that it did, for sure.
That's sick, man. So then you're in London, got acquainted with beer, moved back to Canada, and
so and we were talking earlier. I was fortunate enough, and we were overseas for about 14 years. So Singapore, London, Dublin, and Australia. Okay. So we were 2.5 years in Australia, 6 months in Melbourne, lived in Hawthorne, and then, but I'm not a Hawks fan. I actually went to the dark side, because then Vic Park was still a stadium back then. So I fell in love with the Collingwood Magpies.
Oh, I knew that.
And receive a lot of abuse from a lot of my Australian friends. But it's just oh man, I went to a game of Vic Park, and I was like, wow, this reminded me of the old Ivor Wynn. It was that type of fan base, and I just fell in love with it right out of the gate. And loved it. But we were in Watson's Bay in Sydney for 2 years, and just loved Australia. It's, well, what it's like. It's spectacular. And we were talking earlier. So we're moving, and we were, when you're moving, you find stuff, and you wonder where that came from. Well, this one I definitely know where it came from, and I was thinking, well, I think an Australian would really appreciate this. And here we are. Here I'm talking to an Australian. So I got this for you. Don Bradman, as you know, the Gretzky of cricket. So this whole thing. Now, the one I have one that he signed as well. But like, for folks that don't know cricket that well, this guy, his average was 100, which is a century for every cricket match that he was in. Like, it's as good as it gets. People say he's probably better even than Jordan. So anyway, I got this for you. So you're gonna have to come to the bench and meet and pick it up. But loved Australia. Loved the folks. When we got married in Niagara on the Lake 26 years ago. And I tell you, I think half of it was full of Aussies. They wanted to travel and fun and have fun, I should say. So it was just a great celebration. And obviously the wine and all the beer and everything down there was spectacular. So
what years were you in Australia?
95 to 90. So sorry, 97 to 99.
Okay, damn, that's awesome. Yeah, it would have been
long time.
Yeah, that is a long time ago. I wonder what I was in my teens at that point. I wonder what the craft beer scene would have been like. They probably would have been like fucking nothing. I can't even think.
It wasn't much.
In the 90s? Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you go to there after London?
I was in London and then went there, and then we went over back to London again and Singapore.
Okay.
But it was like Carlton Cold VB, obviously. I think that's what I drank all the time.
Yeah, you poor thing. Sorry about that. Though you
what's the one from South Australia
from South Australia? There's 4 actually in Queensland. There's Tui's, Emu. Emu is from WA. South Australia beer. I'm having a blank. Huh.
Fuller, no, it's British.
Everything was in bottles back then only. There was always there's Melbourne Bitter and Vic Bitter from Victoria were the main ones. And Carlton, I guess, was also based in Melbourne, but Dad used to always drink Carlton cold.
Yes.
Then in New South Wales, this is bringing me back. I'm pretty sure they were like a Tooheys place. So they had Tooheys New, Tooheys Old, all that type of stuff, dry. And then, and then Queensland was 4X, which is horrible. Yeah, Emu was either Queensland or Northern Territory. Yeah, I think that would have been what it was. So that would have sucked coming from London and Belgium, and then discovering this cool thing in the 90s. Pretty awesome. You're ahead of the game, dude. And then,
but
and having.
But we kind of got into the wine then too, and enjoyed it for sure.
I love it. I got these little bad boys.
Oh, there you go, VB. I love those old VB commercials. Oh, that's spectacular! Wow.
They came with like these socks as well. They're just in like a little case. I'm not going to wear them obviously, but these Dunlop Vellies were very popular in the 80s because they were cheap and nice.
Indeed. Yeah, wow.
They did a Vegemite collab too, so you got Vegemite shoes and VB shoes. It's pretty funny.
That's great.
I love it. It's hilarious. So okay, sick. So then you did all that overseas stuff, discovered beer, had the plans already kind of in your mind. You want to start some form of a company. And then you mentioned you got married in Niagara, but you were growing grapes there first before the idea of bench came about.
Yeah. So we got married in 99. Then we moved back. We were then Dublin for 4 years, all with Scotiabank. And then we came back in 2008. We were Dublin, Singapore, London for a brief period, came back in 2008, and then basically worked in Toronto for another 6 or 7 years. And then that was it. I was time to kind of take a different chapter. And while I was actually working downtown Toronto, I was actually growing grapes. I had a group of guys that helped me and helped the guy that really didn't know anything other than what he liked to drink and the varietals of grapes that he liked to grow. And really learned a lot. So I had a really fun time doing that. But I think I realized that it probably wasn't going to be a winery, and right. I realized that actually I'm a beer guy, and it actually makes a lot more sense, and it made a lot of sense for the area. And again, getting back to that farmhouse style of brewing, like Lincoln, like what's better, like with all the wine barrels all around, all the tender fruit, grapes, everything, and then hops after we ended up planting some hops as well. So it just made sense. And so the schoolhouse became available, and I jumped on it and then kind of held it for a bit while I was making the final decisions, and still kind of working downtown and in Toronto, and then made the jump, and haven't looked back since.
That's great, man. Okay, so you said like that's pretty sweet. So then you already were in the area, you already knew that this is what you wanted to do, and then you had the property. I guess there was nothing on there at all. Like it was a schoolhouse with just a bunch of land.
School with a bunch of land, and then the church was still a working church, and then our neighbors, the Hippos, who I got to know quite well, I said, hey, what are you doing with that you've got table grapes, and I know you don't want to grow those anymore, and there's some land in between me and the church, and I think that church can become for sale at some stage. And so we did a handshake deal and added that to the property, so I knew I could put hops, because back then there was a real issue with rural breweries, and they didn't know how to handle it. I guess the municipalities, in that, with a winery, you had to have 5 acres of grapes. So here we were a brewery, and we wanted to sell beer at our tap room. And they said, well, you're going to have 5 acres of something. And I was like, okay, well, we're going to put some hops on. It's probably not going to be quite 5, but they actually then looked through to the fact that we had some grapes growing locally in an adjacent vineyard, and they allowed it. But at that time, like that was a real obstacle to actually opening our doors, and we had to kind of jump through that, and fortunately we did.
Wow, that wasn't even that long ago. That was like less than a decade ago, I guess.
Yeah, so we started brewing our beer at Brunswick as we were under construction. It took about 18 months to build, and it was delayed. There was a neighbor who didn't want a brewery in the area, even though there are effectively 35 wineries within 10 kilometers, but that's another story. So we were delayed, but I think that was good. It allowed us to kind of maybe plan differently in terms of the construction of the facility, which we can talk about. Like, because we knew that when we were building, we were on town water, which is spectacular water, incredible. It's like Denver specs from a water perspective. But we weren't on town sanitation. So we knew that we had to do something. Otherwise, we'd be carting upwards of, well, now, if we were doing it today, we'd be carting about 800 truckloads of brewery effluent every year. Wow. So I can reverse engineer it exactly what that is, divided by 11,000 liters, because the amount that we put in, that's how much the truck can carry, $450 per truckload. You can do the math; it adds up. But we made the investment early and said, we're going to purify all our brewery effluent on site, and we're going to repurpose that and reuse for irrigation. We're going to irrigate our hops. We have 12 acres of apples right beside us, and it was a long process, but really a lot, so worthwhile. And we worked, I hate to say it, but we worked hand in hand with government, and they did a hell of a job helping us. The Ontario Minister of Agriculture, when I said, this is what we want to do, they went, you know what, this can work. What about this? And we did. And so we have this plan that we sign off on, and we're now in our second set of 5 years that allows us to purify the brewery effluent, reuse it for irrigation during the season, fertilizer as long as there's no frost on the ground. And then when we're not in season, we pipe it to a retention pond, it waits for us, and then it's ready to go for irrigation in the spring. So it's a really interesting setup that we have. We're close to about 9 to 10 million liters of brewery effluent that we're processing now each year, which is fairly significant. We have 175 acres of neighboring land that we partner with in terms of spreading the fertilizer and the organics that we actually derive from the purification process. It's incredible for young vines, for tender fruit. That my two farmers that we work together with, they're like, this is amazing. So it's just a great situation. And then to call it zero wastewater, in the 2 months where there's frost on the ground, we actually take the waste to Escarpment Renewables, and then they create green energy in that 2 month period. So it's zero wastewater. We're not sending any to the wastewater treatment facility, because I don't know if others have, brewery effluent's not great for wastewater treatment facilities. So
can you can be as direct or not, but what could you describe? What's effluent? Excuse my ignorance.
Effluent. So basically, you've got processed water, and that's from all the cleaning and all the aspects, which is a significant portion of brewing. And then the other is more the starches, the yeast, all the stuff that is basically remnants after a brew, for lack of a better term. We side stream all our spent grains, so that's already out. But there are some times that it's still in the effluent, and that's taken away by a local farmer, and it's been doing so for about 7 years. But yeah, it's really all and then we don't commingle our domestic waste because we don't want waste from washrooms and kitchens to be in that effluent. So we do that separately, and that's in an aqua wetland system and then into a septic bed. So
I thought effluent meant the sewage side of things, but okay.
So
all the waste product from making beer.
We base, and again, that was decisions that, we had a bit of time because we were delayed early. I said, let's do this right. So in construction, we have 2 pipes that come out. One has the domestic waste and one has the brewery effluent. So, we made that, decision. It seems like forever ago. It's like nine years ago, in order to make sure that we did it right. So yeah, it's worked out well. And even in that period of time, call it say 9 years, like I've really noticed that without irrigation, crops do not flourish. There is definitely warming that has occurred in our little part of the world, and I think for that matter, the grander world. And without irrigation, your crops don't go. So we were seeing this continued, I don't want to say drought, but so it's actually worked very well for us. That we needed irrigation, and here we are repurposing 9 to 10 million of liters of water per year.
That is, as you said, not insignificant, and you're helping out the neighbors who are growing apples and grapes.
Apples and grapes, and seriously, when I look on one side, I look on the other. Like these families have been there for 220 years. Like these are multi-generational families. They came at the end of the Revolutionary War and in the beginning of the 1800s, and you want to talk about stewards of the land. Like these folks are incredible, and they've been amazing mentors to me, from the very beginning. And I couldn't really come in and not do a good job with respect to sustainability and minimizing our environmental footprint with these amazing folks on either side, and for that matter throughout the benchlands. It's really important, the land, because that's what we're using, and that's what we use to make our products.
Of course, yeah. How I meant to ask, how large is the bench property? Like, how many acres is the total property that you have specifically?
Yeah, so all told, it's 8 acres, and
Okay.
and then 3 acres of hops. And the hops that we have Centennial, Cascade, Chinook, and Willamette. So we have
Sick.
four varietals.
Okay. And that's the area, I imagine it goes further than, like, from memory. I don't really know visually what an acre is. I'm trying to get a bit more of an idea because we want to buy land at some point, so I'm like trying to understand. But I noticed, like, the hops are right behind the brewery.
Yes.
That's not 3 acres worth of hops, is it? Right there?
Yeah, it's just 3 acres. Yeah, that's right.
Just there, and it's all in one area. It's not like spread out, I guess, is what I'm.
That's right. It's basically wedged between the brewery and then Fieldstone at Bench, our event center.
Okay, all right. Next time I'm there, I'm going to take more of a look at it to try and get a gauge of what that looks like. Okay, sick.
Hey, you're gonna have to come to pick up your Donnie Bradman.
Yeah, I didn't realize you meant it was for me. I thought you meant you're going to show me.
It's for you. No, it's
amazing.
Yeah.
That's so sick. Well, that's going to go here with all the cool shit. That's awesome, man. Thank you.
Beauty.
That's the people. Unless if any Aussies listening, then you get it. And
awesome.
My brother will love that shit too. That's awesome. Appreciate you. So okay, so that is sick. You know what? Maybe we'll jump into the next beer, and then we'll start to really dig in to I want to get to talk more about the campus itself, and dive a bit deeper in the sustainability stuff, as well as sort of just the way that how you opened, the things that you started with, and then how that sort of changed over the years, because you've been open since 2018, right? 2018, so 7 years. And we can sort of talk about that. So what do we feel like? What's a good follow up here?
Well, when I led with the Balls Falls and said it's my second favorite, let's go with my first, if that works for you. The Short Hills Hazy IPA.
Let's do it, brother.
Yeah, it's my all-time favorite beer.
Beautiful.
And Caitlin Van den Bosch and the team have done an exceptional job.
Love it. This one was not around in the very beginning, was it?
It wasn't the very, but close.
Pretty soon after?
I'll say maybe 3 to 4 years after. So not right at inception.
Okay. Yes, I didn't remember it from the beginning, but I've seen it, around a lot, obviously. So to differ between the Session IPA and the IPA, this bad boy is. Sorry, I can see this is 5.5 or 6.5?
6.5. Yeah.
6.5.
6.5.
What's the hops in this little gem?
I'm going to say Amarillo and Citra. Zacca, I think, are the main ones.
Okay.
But yeah, certainly the Citra.
Hell yeah.
That's just.
Won't make you wait as long to sip this time. Cheers, big. Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh yeah, that mouth feels awesome. I think we had this on the pod with Kim, because we were talking about that off air. I had Kim Lucas on a couple of years ago. I feel like
that's great.
Yeah, she was awesome. Has this I feel like this body is awesome. The mouthfeel is really good. Like, is that like
incredible?
Like something that's like tweaked like over time? Would it have changed in the last couple of years?
No, so Caitlin's been there 3 years. I would say it's certainly improved and become way more consistent. Like the suspended haze, the haze is just spectacular, and it's always consistent. There's no snow globe there, and it's just great. And like you say, the mouthfeel is spectacular. It's a real beauty. And
no, please go.
No, I was gonna say my wife knows when I've had a couple of these, because the 6.5, it's high test. It's nice.
it starts to get you a little bit.
Yeah.
This I feel like with haze, the mouthfeel is one of the arguably the most important part of that. So this is great. I feel like it's even creamier. I guess there's probably a lot of oats going on in this to get that body.
Yes. Yeah, you're right. It's soft. It's still round.
Yeah, it's actually really good. This is a good choice having it after Balls Falls, because it kind of feels like a ramped up. I know it's not directly, but it feels like a ramped up version. It's got kind of similar tasty notes as far as like a little bit less of the grapefruit, but like dank citrus more of that like sort of mango pineapple type of brighter tropical fruits. It's a little, because I guess it's different. There's like haze is typically a spectrum from what I've seen, and it's sort of like on the creamier sort of mouthfeel, but it's not heavy as well, which is a nice little little thing to sit on, because obviously you're a haze guy, so am I. So it's like one of those things where the downside to enjoying this style is sometimes it gets, you just start to feel it a bit with you get a bit full, and I feel like this is probably not going to do that from what I can tell on this, because it's it's creamy enough, it gives you that, but it doesn't feel filling anyway. Is that a fair take? Because I know you're not going to know.
That's a great way of saying it. Totally agree. It's a sessionable hazy IPA, if there's such a thing.
That's a good way to put it. Exactly right. But it's still got that sort of, I think it would scratch the itch, because I think there's sort of some people who maybe just prefer, say, over a pale ale or a session, they like something around, this is my money zone, between 6 and 7% is where it needs to be, in my opinion. As it gets bigger, it's cool, I like it, but I don't know, you can drink even less, and it kind of like, it's not as good. I want to have a few little bad boys, so this is really great, and I feel like this will scratch the itch of the haze for folks without being too much. Like sometimes it doesn't always hit that spot, but I think this one does. And on top of that, it's available year round, I imagine.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yep.
It's
also
cross province, LCBO grocery. It's in our multi-pack at Costco, as well as convenience as well. So
here for it. Just to quickly touch on the Costco thing, because that's a pretty new thing that I'm seeing more of. I love it. It's so dope. Seeing local breweries available in places where people can get a bunch of stuff. They're there. They got the big ass shopping trolleys, and they're buying stuff, and it's different sort of consumer than the LCBO, who are typically buying 1 or 2 cans or whatever. The pack that you have available at Costco, I think you said there was three beers in it.
That's right. Yeah. Yep. So the Falls Falls, the Short Hills, and then the Lincoln County, the Hellas Lager that we have as well.
Oh, dope.
So those are the three.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. That's a good combo. Like nice little like ramping up slowly. How many in the pack? Is it 6, 12?
24. 3 by 8.
Oh, it's 24. Okay. Does it have to be 24? Is that what they ask for?
That was the discussion that we had. So it'll become a year that we've been in Costco in December. So that was, that was really the discussion they had with us, and we said, we'd be more than happy to provide that. So it's been popular, and like you say, I think it's a good mix. Maybe start with Lincoln, and then maybe your Falls Falls, and then your Short Hills. So so far so good, and
that's great.
So
how many
it's currently 5. So we'd like to be in more, but right around Niagara, pushing into Ancaster and Burlington.
Oh, it's in the Ancaster one's near me. That's the one I go to.
Okay.
I'll check. I was there recently, so I didn't even see any beer at all, period. So where do they keep, I guess because I go into Costco's like can be a whole thing, because if it's so crazy, I just go in there, I'm like, all right, fuck, just get head down, just get the stuff I need and try and get out. Where do they keep the beer? I didn't see anything. I think I just didn't look. Is it in a, is it?
There's a section, and they've done a great job. Like it's sort of well curated, and there's beer, and then you've got the wine section, the RTDs, and they have non-alcs, and it's quite amazing.
Is it refrigerated there, or is it on the shelf?
No. Yes, it's on. For the most part, it's on pallets. Just they drop pallets right in the middle. It's pretty. It's spectacular.
Okay.
Yeah.
It must have been on the other side. I'm just trying to picture this store. I must have just not gone past it. Okay, good to know. I'm going to go check that out. I think that's so. Have you found, without going too hard on it, because I know there's more the story, but have you found that to be? Is it either performing well so far, which sounds like it is, but then also do you see a lot of potential on that sort of to grow and do more business?
They've been incredible partners, and I think we're all kind of finding our way in this new expanded retail environment that we have in Ontario, and I think it's been a real incredible learning experience for all of us. and there's been some really great things about it, and some things we're still finding is challenging. But yeah, it's been great. I have no complaints whatsoever. In fact, just really fortunate that we've been asked to do it. To be honest,
That's awesome, dude. Do you have to, and tell me if you can't say any of this stuff, because I just don't know if it's like, how like LCBO, you've got to I think there's two models. There's like the one model where you're just on a sheet, and there's another model where you're going to go store to store and kind of sell them. Is it like that with Costco? Do you have to go store to store, or do they make you only start? Because I've noticed what you said about you've got the 5 closest to the brewery. Everyone else I've seen have basically done the same thing. Wherever they're located, they've gone to the nearby ones. What's the sort of vibe on how that all works?
I can't speak for the strategy with respect to Costco, but I think it's more of a head office decision when they make those, and I think they recognize that the local component of craft beer is a good thing, and that's something that consumers want. So I think they recognize that, and that's been an effort that they've done over, I'm probably going to say, the last 6 months or so. We got in fairly early from the initial pull, and the first load in was the top 3 craft brewers. They had the ability to fulfill all 41, I think now 42 stores. So yeah, it was just a natural progression and something that they feel is the right way in Costco, and I agree with them. And it's a good thing. Like, they're pushing local, which is, as we all know, local's everything.
Couldn't agree more. Okay, so that's their decision. If in order to expand beyond the 5, is that the onus on the brewery, or does Costco head office be like, hey Matt, now we're going to open up these stores for you, so drop a pallet off at all the different stores, or how does that kind of look?
Yeah, well, I'm waiting to hear on that, actually. So yeah, no, it's probably a continual discussion, and I think it depends on performance, and do consumers actually like purchasing the beer there? So yeah, so far so good. We're just happy to be there and doing the best we can.
Dude, that's awesome. Thank you. Sorry to press that. I was just very curious on
not at all. No, it's great
on how it all works, because it is so new, and I don't think I've spoken to anybody who has actually done this yet. So very cool, man. Congrats on that. I think that's really dope, and it's such a great sign that a company like that, like a multinational, understands the importance of local and bringing in local breweries that can, like you said, can actually fulfill those orders to do something like that and create these packs just for them. I don't know. I just think that's like, it's cool, because you go to the States, you see that all the time, but in Canada, yes, it's sort of these value packs are a much newer thing. So it's really nice to see that, and then not bringing in. I imagine, do they have the macros?
Yes,
they're not bringing in. They do. Okay. I was about to give them credit and be like, no, they didn't bring in the other stuff. I guess they gotta do that too. They're a business. Okay.
Yeah, and for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Dope. Love it. All right. So back to bench. So maybe we'll talk about the when you open. So when you came up with the concept for it, obviously Farmhouse was a big inspo, as you were saying, from all the Belgian trips and everything like that. When you were opening, now back in the day, there were 2 sides to the brewery. There was a clean side and the funk side, with this crazy, like, it was like fully sealed off. I'd never seen anything like it, and still haven't to this day. Like, you had almost like that middle part where it was sort of like what was
negative air pressure? Yeah, it was negative air pressure. It was pushing all the wild yeast, airborne yeast, just keeping it in the funk side and keeping it away from clean side. And touch wood, we were very fortunate. We never experienced a contamination, certainly from the funk side to the clean side. So it worked. Now, fast forward to today, and we walk through freely in that negative pressure room because we needed more space. We ran out of clean side space. We were fortunate enough to find some more tanks, and so we defunked the front of the funk side, and the funk piece now is at the back. So all our barrels, remaining fooders that we have, they're all in that back area. If you remember where a cool ship is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And so we're kind of creeping. Clean side is kind of taking some of the property away from funk, but just to reflect the production that we have, and I would say that the funk side beer now is less than 5%. So it's a real passion. I love sour, I love barrel aged, mixed ferment, all of that stuff, and that's a real kind of passion of mine. But at the end of the day, quality beer is what's most important for us. And if it happens to be a hazy IPA or a session IPA as well, you know what, that's okay. And we love doing that. And that's kind of where we've now placed our bets.
Understood. Okay. So in the beginning, there was the clean stuff, which was exactly what we're drinking right now. Bowls Falls, and there was I imagine I can't remember exactly, but I imagine it was other lagers, other different IPAs as well, things like that. Like a kind of just general. Was there anything specific that you can remember that you opened with?
Yeah, it's really we've been an IPA lager for lack of a better term, portfolio mix. With our farmhouse ales in there as well. But we had a really nice Belgian pale ale, Jordan Harbor, which had a Belgian style yeast, so you had that real peppery notes. But we've really just said, look, we're going to use a real, we're almost like Brasserie de la Seine. I would never compare us to them because they're so amazing, but we tend to use one yeast strain, and we're really happy with it, and it works across all of our beers. We propagate it; it's robust, and we use it from beer to beer, and it's actually worked really well for us, and I think really improved the quality of our beer. So with that in mind, that's how we've kind of done that. We've got, I should say two yeast strains, and that's worked really, really well for us. But yeah, lagers, something that, all brewers seem to love lagers. It's incredible. Like they're hard to make, and certainly quality good ones. And so we think we hit it out really nicely with the Lincoln County, and we've continued to have that as our flagship lager, for lack of a better term. And you're living in the Hammer, and that we're the craft beer of the Hamilton Tiger Cats, which I'm immensely proud. Yeah. My favorite team since I was born. So yeah, it's been a real journey for us. And if you'd ask me day one, were we going to have a lager that was an important piece of our portfolio? I don't know. I would have said not sure. We're going to stick to IPAs and farmhouse, but we all kind of evolve, and that's my go-to next to the Short Hills. It's the Lincoln Lager. So that's the way things go.
No, totally, man. Okay, that's awesome, and thank you for clarifying, because that's how I always thought about bench. It was like the farmhouse, like all the bottled stuff, and then it was lagers and IPAs. So that's awesome. And even on that, when we were working with you guys, our agency worked with, for people who don't know, our agency worked with Bench back in the earlier days with sort of like in the social world, and I didn't know what the Tiger Cats were. I had no idea. It was really funny because I saw them posting about it. I didn't really understand the CFL. Montreal had the Alouettes and stuff, and we lived close to it out there. But I had no idea. Now we're like, I don't know, 10-minute walk from the stadium, and I still haven't been to a game.
Nice.
But very aware of it all now, because every second person is wearing something, and every second car's got a sticker on it or something. It's I didn't understand the scope of what this was all about, so it makes so much more sense now. And it would always, one of the first thoughts after living here for a little bit was like, okay, I get the beer now. It was because that was my first exposure to it. So it was like that beer was the one thing that sort of pieced it all together. I'm like, all right.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, it's great, and we're hungry for a cup. We haven't won since 1999, so we need it this year. But we'll see.
Are we good? So. Typically, do we do all right, or do we kind of suck?
We're gonna win the East, I think. Like, we got to win tomorrow to win the East.
Okay.
Yeah, we've had a few tickets to the dance, but we just can't seem to win in the Grey Cup. So we'll see. We got a great team this year, I feel. But if you ask my daughters, they say that I say that every year. We never win.
Staying positive.
You're right.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to manage my emotions.
I respect it. Okay, that's awesome. So then, all right, so you had the clean side and the funk side. So the funk side for me, like the stuff that you guys were doing when you opened for the first bunch of years until obviously I completely understand, because that whole genre of beer, unfortunately, is just flat, and I completely understand why it wouldn't make business sense to continue, as much as that probably pained you, because that's your shit. The stuff that you guys were doing, the Grove series, was some of the most exceptional fruited farmhouse I've ever had to this date. Still, like Peach Grove, I think, was probably my favorite. Plum one was incredible. Even just the wine, I've still got a couple bottles in the cellar here of some of the ones. There's a few like fun wine barrel ones and stuff. It was just like, and that fruit, like walking through and seeing, like, you walk right up the stairs and to the very top of like a little mini tower to see the cool ship with the chicken wire around it and stuff. It's incredible. And that the barrel, there was like what, 200-300 barrels at least, I would, from memory.
Yeah, just probably on the just underneath the 200, but yeah,
Just
absolutely.
under 200. Okay. And there
Yeah,
was
so
14 or 16 fooders.
at the peak we had 14.
14. Fuck,
Yeah. So we have some really nice tables at our event center that are made of French oak.
Hey man,
They're spectacular tables, and we don't do them justice. We need to tell the story a lot more. But we still have,
okay.
We have 4 of them there that we use, and so we our cool ship we typically do in November. So next month we'll do a cool ship beer. We do once a year, and the fermentations have become more robust as we've gotten, because a lot of the microflora is living in the walls now, and the same airborne yeast that we bring in to inoculate during the cool ship brew or fermentation, I should say, are the same that reside in that wall and actually all in the barrels. So we're bringing in now, putting it in the foeder, and then breaking it into the smaller barrels. We've got a lot of liquid from past cool ship brews, which is quite interesting. So yeah, we're diving into that, as we speak, just to kind of go through the library and see what matches and what we can put together and blend. And then we're going to start doing more annual cool ship releases that we can do and get back into that. The ones that we did were spectacular, like the terroir of beer, if you will. Like when you look at the Cantillons of Brussels and some of the ones, Lindemans in Belgium, like they're quite acidic. Whereas the ones that we had were soft. So, I don't know what's going on with the airborne yeast in Lincoln, but it really produced a very nice, soft, enjoyable lambic style beer. So yeah, I want to get back into that and look forward to it, because November's a time for us.
Yeah. Okay. Dude, that's awesome. I actually was under the impression, no one told me this, I just assumed that the production of the funk stuff like completely ceased. So that makes me very happy that you're still doing it. So I imagine that it's like you got to come to the brewery to get the stuff. This is not anything that's going to go in any sort of LCBO or distro. It's like,
and we're releasing things now. So at our hop shop on site, we have Culpon plums, foeder aged, just beautiful. I had one about 2 weeks back, and so it's getting better with age. It's really, really nice. So we were trying on to can some of the funk stuff, and it went well, but realized that if we're going to do it, we'll probably save it for special occasions and go back to the cool ship annual releases. So yeah, that's where we are, but we want to get back to it. That's the romance, but we've just been really busy brewing all the other beers and continuing to brew the clean stuff.
Dude, that makes sense. So are you saying then, just to clarify, the only funk side stuff that you have been doing is the annual cool ship releases? Is that what it's been the last little bit?
That's the intent. So we'll brew another one coming up, and then we have stuff in barrel that we're going to start pulling out and bringing as kind of one-off, kind of small releases. We realized that was the best way of releasing is just do small batches, do them on site, have them for either online or on site, and it made sense for us. It just wasn't a commercial. It's just a lot of fun, a lot of innovation, and that real romance part of the beer.
Couldn't agree more. What percent? So I guess it would have been such a small percentage of. I'm just going on the website now because I want to see what it's looking like. The percentage of, I was going to say, not percentage of business, but there must be a strong following or your customer base who still associate Bench pretty strongly with, if they were around in 2018 or, in that early stages, that like I felt like a big part of the identity of the brand was that the funk side. Maybe that was me personally. But I felt like there was always so many. Every time I went there, it was like my friend Max used to work there behind the bar. He was going to St. Catherine's, Niagara College. So I always used to be in the wine region and come see Max and get some fire food, and just some of usually one of the groves with something would pair beautifully with the food. It was always just such a wonderful experience. is it fair to say that a lot of the identity originally was with that side of the beer, or is that something that maybe it's just means it to me, perhaps?
It's certainly part of our DNA for sure.
Right.
I think on a broader sense, just being in a rural location and being that agriculturally focused brewery, I think that kind of was part of that as well. So growing our own hops, as a cider company now with Niagara Cider and now Liberty Village, like we grow our own apples, and that's an important piece too. So I think that all kind of coming together and people realizing that, there was more to bench than the cool ship. And that was a really cool and differentiating piece of our kind of our concept and of who we were, but not defining. So I think now more people are looking at us for IPAs and lagers. And I think more importantly, quality. Like for us, quality is everything, whether it is a cool ship, annual release, or it's our flagship Falls, or our Tiger Cat Hellas Lager. It's all about quality, and that's always been paramount. So hopefully that's what folks are thinking about most importantly, and it's the quality and that we are all things to all different beer styles.
I love it. That makes complete sense. Thank you for clarifying. I'm checking the website now. I just saw okay, Niagara Cider. So this is a company that another one you started?
No, we actually purchased Niagara Cider
Awesome.
in 2023. Just made a lot of sense. Love the brand. Had a really nice presence, not just in Niagara, but in the GTA and Golden Horseshoe. So it made a lot of sense for us to acquire and bring in, and yeah, it's been great. And again, Caitlin Venema, she had a lot of experience at Mill Street and bringing in Brickworks as well. So had that cider making experience, and just with the fact that we were growing apples adjacent anyway, it just made complete sense. So yeah, really excited. It's a real big seller at our tap room, believe it or not. It's been a really nice addition to the portfolio, that gluten-free component. Folks that aren't sure about maybe having wine, but don't like beer, so you have the cider, and they've been trying it, and it's been a real boon for our taproom for sure.
Man, that's sick. I had no idea. I'm looking at the website. These cans are beautiful, and they're very much aligned with the bench branding. It's its own distinct thing, obviously, but it feels connected, I guess, in the strong with the strong bold colors that that you've used here. The flavors are awesome, like peach Chardonnay, man.
Yeah,
blackberry honey, like rose gold,
the maple
very so. Yeah, maple whiskey, oak.
Maple whiskey, we've just got, that's now a general listing in the LCBO. So really excited about bringing that in. That's our most popular one, believe it or not. The maple whiskey cider, really? It's great and all year round. So it's it's a real
that's fun, man. That's cool. Good for you. Oh man, that's really fun. I do like that. I think something that's been really important to us as sort of in general, and I think it's very important to the industry, which is kind of what you just spoke to there, is that if breweries don't offer a varying various offerings to bring different people in, I feel like it's going to be continue to be narrow. Like in the States, I noticed the more time I spend there, I go to breweries and I look around, and I am judging, but I'm like, I don't really think a lot of these people are like beer nerds. I think they think this is a bar, and they approaching it as a bar. Not that, what I mean, not that they don't know that it's a brewery, but breweries are so people know a brewery is a synonym essentially for a bar, because it's the same thing. Often they have wine, cider, cocktails and stuff like that. That sort of, if you and me want to go to a brewery, but we're going out with a bunch of people that sort of don't like beer, I'm like, oh, no worries, you can come to bench. We've got cider and other things as well. And I think that's just like an important step that to make a brewery a bit more of a all-encompassing sort of option for folks who don't really think of it that way. And I think it's almost like a perception or paradigm shift that we need to sort of have in the industry, particularly here in Canada, because I think the States have a little bit more of a jump on us for that. But does that resonate at all?
It absolutely does. And consumers' tastes are evolving, and they're looking to experience all sorts of different craft beverages, for lack of a better term. So yeah, cider I think fits in really nicely. RTDs, we're in that space now as well, and we find that it's been extremely popular, certainly with across both or all demographics. Like I would have thought that the demographic would have, been a younger demographic, but I tell you, there's guys my age that are drinking RTDs all the time now. So it's quite interesting. So, and then, when we were talking about wine earlier, we are in the wine region. I know a lot of folks. So, what we've started doing now is buying grapes from our friends at Megalomaniac, and then Niagara Custom Crushes down the road. So we actually have our own wine line now as well, which is great. And
no way.
We've been some Pinot and Chardonnay, and it's just incredible quality. It's from the 20 Mile Bench. It's just spectacular. And we are here in the area, and there were people that would come and say, hey, why don't you have wine? Well, we don't make it. Well, now we do. So, we're really happy to have that too. And then at our Fieldstone at Bench Event Center, with all the weddings and corporate events that we have, it just makes sense to have, the wine that is made here. And it's incredible quality. It's and it's literally from 200, we'll call it 400 meters away from us, up on the bench, and the grapes are just there. So it's fun. Dude, that's the artisanal aspect of craft beverage.
I'm so impressed. I love it so much. This is amazing. So you've got a sparkling rosé, a Pinot Noir, a Chardonnay, and a Cab Franc.
And the Cab Franc's sold out.
Cab Franc sold out.
And I tell you, the last 12 months in the wine industry have been so exciting. In that,
really
good, with the VQA support system, the ceiling taken away, which is great. So there's more support for wineries as they sell into the LCBO. With the tariff scenario, with all of the U.S. wine taken off the shelf, it's just been incredible. And then you add Costco to the mix, which is doing a lot of Ontario wine as their, as part of the AGCO, they have to have 10% of wine on shelf that has Ontario producer, 20%, as we know, for beer, cider, and RTD. So it's been incredible. You'd be challenged to get bulk wine currently in the Niagara region because it's all spoken for, it's all being used and put in a bottle. And there's only so many, tons of grapes that grow each year, and that's the ceiling. And it's a great situation. I'm happy for all the guys around us, or all the folks around us, and it's really nice to see.
Man, that's so cool. And it's great that you're in the perfect spot, and then do the perfect type of business to be able to do that, to be able to purchase local, literally, like you said, 400 meters local, and then be able to make their own products as well. I'm actually checking. So people know, just benchbrewing.com, you can hit shop up the top and you can see all the different stuff. So you mentioned the RTD. So you got the vodka soda and the hard seltzer, which is amazing.
Yes.
You got the wine now with the 4 ones we just mentioned. You got the cider we talked about, obviously the beer, and also the non-alc. So you got some non-alc lagers called Quench, and you've also got hop water, which is one of my favorite things ever. Hop water is the greatest. So then, literally, you just basically
I'm having one on the side.
I love it. You did mention that earlier, actually.
Yeah, hop fizz. It's great. 0 calories on our regular one, and we use our hops from on site, which is pretty interesting too. So, and then we've done a peach one as well. So it's got 25 calories, but we call it's beer familiar. It has something going on that is like beer, because we put yeast in there as well to really extract the citrus notes from the hops. And obviously no malt, but it's spectacular. So yeah, people are really starting to lean into the non-alc, we find, but not as much as perhaps some of the other companies that we see. I was just out in BC and speaking to a few folks out there, and I think it's taken off a bit more there than here, certainly in the craft side, but there's some really good ones out there here, and it's a good thing. And I think we'll only continue to grow.
I agree. I love it. I love seeing that. I think it's like an important thing. It's I feel like over COVID it started. So I got introduced to it over COVID, and I didn't like it at first.
Yes.
And then I was like, oh, this is actually pretty sick. And there's a few nights a week I don't drink, so I typically on those nights would be hop waters, non-alc beers, and it sort of helps sort of get you through or whatever, or just if like kind of what you're doing, spacing things out a little bit, and sort of it gives you that flavor. It doesn't make you feel like you're stopping and having a glass of water. You're just having a non-alc, and they're very minimal calories. They taste great, like you said. Beer, what did you? Beer familiar. It's
beer familiar, yeah.
Beer familiar. I love it, dude. It's so good. And then the last thing to ask on the website. So you're selling Carbon. I've seen this brewery before. Carbon Brewing. Is this something that you acquired?
Yes. Yeah, we acquired Carbon as well, and very, very similar core values with respect to minimizing our environmental footprint, sustainability. They want to exit. We were brewing for them anyway, which made sense, and have a lot of time for them and their philosophy, and really love the beer. So it just makes sense, and it's now part of our portfolio as well.
Amazing, dude. I love it. It's just so like it's really cool to see it on the website, to see like beer, wine, cider, RTD, carbon, and the non-alc. I'm like, this is exactly what I was talking about. Like it's the offerings that and on top of what I was saying, you've taken it to another level because you're making it all. And that is something I don't particularly think I've seen. The only thing you're not doing, I guess, is making spirits directly. Like, is that an interest of yours, being that you can do literally everything else?
Yeah, I've learned never to say never. We're really happy with where we are right now, and kind of consolidating a lot of the portfolio that we have. And but yeah, it's certainly a growing segment of the market. Certainly, the RTD space continues to really outperform. So we'll see.
Never say. I love that, dude. It's very cool. It's just really nice. It's really cool to see. I'm glad we spent that much time talking about all the different things, because you put me onto all this new stuff, and I don't know. I really believe that is going to be the future of what breweries sort of offer, and the differentiating factor, where it's sort of, instead of being this niche thing that the joke is, white dudes with beards always are at. It's sort of this place where everyone is welcome. Obviously, everyone's already welcome, but then there's these additional offerings that are thoughtfully either curated or produced that are going to speak to essentially whatever you want. We have something along those lines for folks, and it sort of makes it more of a destination where, particularly your spot, which we'll get to the next beer, and we'll talk about the actual space itself, because that's the space, arguably, obviously the quality of the product, but I remember back when you opened that the talk about, like, everyone was like awestruck with the space, like in the industry, people, like, not even just like consumers, like they're just like, it is fucking amazing, dude, you gotta see this. So I was really excited when we went down. I think we did it 2018 was the first time. It must have been not long after you opened, but to see just the scope of it, we're painting the picture, but like people really do need to see, the car park just goes, like it's so long, and there's so many indoor, outdoor, like it's all the bars at the top. It's just, I don't know, it's such a really cool experience. So
Thank you.
yeah, we'll talk.
Very kind.
It's beautiful, bro. What are we doing next? What are you feeling?
What do you think? A little Oski Wee Wee, or? Oh yeah, actually, I don't know if you have the Cats one.
I do,
but or the Lincoln Lager, if you want to do that, or
I don't think I have the Lincoln Lager, but I have. Or do I? Hang on, wait.
Lincoln County.
No, I have. No, I don't. I have Van Life.
Oh, Van Life. Okay, nice.
And I have Ripple and Berry Fields.
Okay. Oh, sorry for shortchanging it. That's not really nice to show you that. You don't have one yourself.
No, I have this.
There you go.
Oh, hang on. Is this Lincoln? This is not Lincoln.
Yes.
It's not Lincoln.
Yes.
This is Lincoln Lager repackaged.
You got it. That's right.
There we go. Beautiful. Okay.
Yeah.
I love it.
Okay. Perfect.
Let's do this bad boy. Okay. So, did you say you want to take a You're good. We didn't do bathroom break yet, right? I wasn't sure if
I'm good. I'll take.
You good?
I'll take your lead.
Okay, cool. I'm good for a sec.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, beautiful. So this is what we were talking about before. This is the Hamilton the Tiger Cats beer. How did obviously this is something that you were probably pretty excited about. Like as you said, you've been a fan your whole life, which is pretty sick. And to be able to make a beer for the team that you really love, like I mean the AFL St Kilda, which is why they lost to Collingwood in the 1966 grand final by 1 point, and St Kilda's never won a premiership because of that 1 point. So Collingwood, I got beef with forever because it's the closest we ever got. And then when I moved here in 2010, I moved in September, and the grand finals the end of September, and they played St Kilda, got into it and played Collingwood and lost again. Because I was like, if I am not home for that, I would be devastated. But so my point is, I can understand your excitement, the team that you grew up watching, and being able to, even if it's a relabeled beer, it doesn't matter. It's got your brand on it. It's amazing. How did it happen, dude?
It was quite organic. They are very they're very focused on who's actually going to games, and yeah, there you go. And realized that there was a real younger demographic that they wanted to attract to games, and thought that having a craft beer that was branded Ticats, and no one had been doing that in the CFL. They were the first to do it. Even other professional sports teams hadn't really done it yet. It was pre-COVID.
It was
so
forever ago.
yeah, it's been for many years. So yeah, we were fortunate enough to be the ones, and I'm involved with the Tiger Town Council, and I got to know the folks in the management of the actual team, and they've been just great supporters. It's been an actual pleasure the entire time.
I can imagine. That could be so cool, just to be like whatever, if they go walk through their offices. Yes, cheers, bro.
Cheers. Yeah, it's great, and we got a great relationship
from the team. Yeah,
we hosted a bunch of guys on Saturday at the brewery because it was their bye week. So yeah, we're trying to always provide a space for them to do some team bonding and building, and certainly supportive of them at all the events. And yeah, just really excited to be part of the Ticat family.
Very cool, man. It's this is dope. So the at the stadium, this is the main. Is there multiple bench beers? Because I would say I still haven't been, but is this the only one available? There's a bunch of bench beers. What's the vibes at the actual games?
Yeah, they allow us to have this, and then the Forge FC, which is the soccer team in the Canadian Premier League. We do a light lager for them. They just won the Shield again, so spectacular franchise. And
what's it called? Forge FC.
Forge FC.
Okay, I saw. We drove past like 2 days ago, and there was a whole bunch of people there that were going in. I'm like, they play as a Ticat, and I'm like, no, they're all wearing a different color. Is it like orange or something?
Orange, yeah, you got it. Yeah,
Forge.
And mad passionate, and
yeah, that's them. Okay.
Super successful. It's the Hamilton Ticat organization that is behind that franchise, and has done an incredible job, just like they've done with the Ticats. Uber professional from the very top down, the caretaker of Young all the way down to all the folks on the ground. So yeah, they had actually had a Short Hills for them last year, but 2 years ago. Then we went to a Pilsner last year. And then we did the light lager this year for them for Forge, and then we also have Falls, and there actually is a bench bar in Hamilton Stadium, which is pretty cool too. Yeah, it's the craft beer bar that has all the bench logos and branding.
That's awesome. That's really cool. That's what I assumed was going down. That there was like, I think I'd seen some photos and stuff, but I wasn't. It was quite some time ago, so. This is awesome, dude. Like, so Forge, just to confirm, is it Hamilton Forge? Is that what it is? That's the team?
Yes. Yeah. The Hamilton. Yeah. Hamilton. They call it.
Okay. Because it doesn't say Hamilton anywhere on the website. It just says Forge FC.
Forge FC. Yeah, that's right. And then you got it's the hammer for the hammer.
Oh, hang on. Wait, there's a little H at the top here.
H, that's right. You got
it. Okay. Dude, I'm sorry. I know nothing about sports. I'm terrible.
Yeah.
That's super cool. I mean, that's very cool. Did you as far as like how did it happen though? I know you sort of spoke that they were looking. Did they approach you or did you approach them?
I approached them. Because again, I'm part of the
you gotta reach
Tiger Town Council. Yeah, you have to, yeah. And it's made up of a lot of folks within the community. And so I had that ability to, have a chat with them and say, hey, what a craft beer. And they were already ahead of me. And they said, we've been thinking about, this is something we want to discuss and approach. And what do you think? I said, love to. And just the evolution of, our ability to make cans as needed. So we did one for Forge last year with all the shields, all the cups that they've won. It's just a great way to kind of help them build their brand as well. So we had a new can every year. We had a limited edition. So it's just, it's been a lot of fun. And it's grown in terms of, percentage sales within the stadium, and we sell to the LCBOs in the area, grocery as well. We're doing a, ticket draw for the Grey Cup this year in Winnipeg. So hopefully we're there, but anyway, the CFL fans, we're small but mighty. It's a great sport. Love it. And then certainly, the Hamilton pride, like it's such a great city and community and people. Well, you live there. It's a proud group of just really awesome people.
It's a really cool city, and I feel like it's almost like now we've been here over 3 years. So we're in Montreal for 10 years. So so that's when we were working with you guys. We're in Montreal. So I'd been to Hamilton, I don't know, whatever, just a handful of times to visit some breweries and stuff like Merit and Fairweather and Grain and Grit, things like that, and Collective, and been to some events, but I didn't know much. So when we decided to live here, I didn't think I'd like it this much. It's such a cool place. It's very similar to Montreal. It's got the same shitty roads, lots of one-way streets. The buildings look quite similar.
Yeah,
it's made me feel at home pretty early on. But no, it's a really cool, and people are really proud. And it's interesting the way that were you the fact that you like Tiger Cats. Did you grow up in Hamilton at all? Were you?
I actually grew up in London, so yeah, the Tiger Cat Nation kind of went down that far.
Extended out. Okay.
Yeah. So that was kind of the big thing, is going to Ivor Stadium when I was a kid, making that drive with my dad from London to Ivor. And that's
what it. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's what it is. What it used to be called, the Tim Hortons place.
Yeah, and it like Tim Hortons, and now like it's without a sponsor, so it's Hamilton Stadium for this season, and then hopefully for next year. But I don't know, like when they built it in 2014, it became a kinder, gentler place. Because I remember back in the old days in Ivor, especially Labor Day Classics, like it was rough. Like there were scraps a lot.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. So it was the grit. So that's why it just reminded me of Vic Park back in Melbourne when I went to see Collingwood. Like, it was that crowd that real steel collar, love the tough. It's defense. It's all about defense in Hamilton, but it's just that tough kind of blue collar fanatics for sports. Yeah. In Vic Park, definitely.
Definitely out there. Yeah, that's what the joke about Collingwood was always. Just I see all the smiling fans, and they just got gaps, and they just look rough. But now you mention it, I can see the parallel big time. I hadn't really thought about that because Jesus, that is hilarious. But what was I going with that before? I can't remember. But very cool to hear. Oh no, I was saying how good Hamilton. Yeah, it's a really cool city, and I'm seeing all the cool businesses work with each other here. Like our butcher, we sort of heard about him because he sort of had been supplying some meat for the brewery, a bunch of different breweries, and like everywhere we go, we're like, oh, they kept mentioning him. I'm like, oh, okay. So it's like it's like tight knit, because we're not used to that as much, from Melbourne to Toronto to Montreal to now Hamilton, like a much larger city. So I wasn't used to this level of smaller city, and I didn't realize how cool it is. Like, we found everything we need here. I just thought we'd have to go to Toronto all the time. Now it's the worst thing I could do is go to Toronto. I hate it.
Yes,
it's, the old QEW, whatever. God, it's just a nightmare. Everything about it, but everything's fire here. The coffee, the beer, the wine is around the corner, and the food is incredible once you just find the places. It's just so cool. But then that sense of community is real, and I feel like there's a bunch of investment in the city as a business. Are you up on that? I guess you're probably paying attention to what's happening here.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. As a businessman who's done big things, I'm curious. This is almost like completely irrelevant to the pod, but I mean, maybe it is. We watched this video the other night on YouTube. It was a real estate agent, and he did like the top 10 projects that are happening in Hamilton. And obviously, there's the big stadium on by Merit there. The I think it's gonna be TD Coliseum, and Paul McCartney's playing in November there. I'm like, that's pretty crazy. Like, and Matty Matheson's having a restaurant. I'm like, okay. Yes. I heard it was going to happen, and I didn't really believe it, if I'm honest. Then around the corner, there's that design district, they're calling it, with the Louis Vuitton building, and there's 2 towers in the air now. So that's happening. I know they're changing Eastgate Mall, and they're adding all of these things. It's going to be this whole development up there. And we're watching this video, and we're like, because sometime when we bought it 3 years ago, and I was like, yeah, we felt very optimistic towards it, and then not long after we bought, then it kind of dipped a bit. We're like, okay, maybe poor timing on our part, but now I'm like looking at all these things happening in the city. I'm like, this is pretty insane. Like, as someone who's in, obviously in real estate and all this type of stuff, like, what's your sort of take on it all? Is that painting a good picture of like, it seems like there's a lot of investment coming here, and we always say Hamilton's going to be the Brooklyn to Toronto's Manhattan, and it is to a degree because a lot of people are escaping the big city, about similar-ish distance, maybe a bit further, but there seems to be a lot of cool stuff happening, revitalization, there's investment, there's things that suck too, but I don't know. I feel optimistic, and I'm curious if you have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. There's been a huge push for gentrification, and what I like about Hamilton is when they are doing that, the revitalization, they're still adhering to the history, so they're preserving a lot of the old building, because there's a lot of really interesting architecture in Hamilton that's been there from inception. So yeah, there's a lot of really smart people that believe in Hamilton and are investing a lot of money, and it's a very exciting time. I hear it a lot when I'm with the Hamilton folks that I'm fortunate enough to be with in the council, and there's a lot of optimism, and I love your analogy of that Brooklyn versus Manhattan, and that's exactly, there's a bit of grit, but there's everything that you need, and it's only growing, and more people are being attracted to it, and like say Matty Matheson, all that arena is going to be spectacular. Oh my goodness, it's going to be just amazing. So yeah, very, very optimistic and very, very excited about the next 5-10 years in Hamilton for sure.
Love it. I'm very happy to hear that from you. To be honest, that makes, because we'd only seen the YouTube video. Talk to people, you see stuff online, but I don't know the same types of folks you do here yet. It's you got to sort of slowly meet people, but I feel like it seems that's great. Great that the take on it. It seems they are improving stuff. That they are really sort of focusing on making it. I just feel like it could just be so cool, because we go to places like Pittsburgh, way smaller than Hamilton. You could buy a killer house for like $500K. And have you been to Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
Yeah, near the Strip District.
Yeah.
So it's like the old kind of like rail station that they've turned into. There's like Shake Shack,
right.
it's like right next to downtown, and they've got like Shake Shack, Aslan Brewery. Like, it is so fire. And we go to places like that. I was bringing that one up because it's a Steel City, same type of thing, blue collar place, and they have their challenges as well. But I'm like, this is how sick Hamilton can be. What are we doing? Like, this is so fire. So and that's just one. We were in Albany the other week, and there was a few things there. It was like, oh man, this is so sick. So we go to, I feel like obviously the States tends to be mostly a little further ahead, and the smaller towns tend to always have, like, they maybe focus on the entertainment stuff, arguably too much, but we see that, and then we're sort of like, well, what's happening at home? And then now when we watch that video, and the Coliseum being literally, as of right now, it's October 23rd. So I think Paul McCartney's show is like 21st of November, if I'm not mistaken. So they've got a month. They got a month to get that shit together.
Giddy up.
Because they have to. We went past the outside the other day, and I'm like, yeah, it's looking the same. It's still First Ontario. It's looking exactly that. So, but I'm like, all right, it was the first time I had been like, not optimistic, because I wouldn't have bought a house if I wasn't optimistic, but just feeling like excited is probably the best word. I'm like, oh man, this is great. This is like really cool that there seems to be like a lot of things happening, and super positive. And I just feel like it's the best location. It's 30 minutes from you guys, which is just such a blessing when we used to drive from Montreal to go down to that area too. So you can just wake up on a Saturday morning and be like, let's go to bench today, and check it all out. It's so cool. And now with all this stuff happening, it's very cool. I love hearing that take, particularly of someone who's been around here for a long time, and you would have seen crazy changes from over the years. Like,
it's going in the right direction for sure. And there's a large degree of reinventing itself. Like you say, Pittsburgh is a great example. Rochester in New York, very good example of just reinventing. And certainly McMaster and Sick Kids. There's a whole bunch of that medical component. Obviously, the university. So that's certainly innovation hub. All of those kind of assets that are growing. And then, like you say, this gentrification and real estate development and investment. It's just awesome. It's going to really change the face of Hamilton, but keep it the way, and keep that charm and that thing that part of it that people find so attractive and appealing.
I agree. It doesn't feel like they're getting rid of that currently
No,
anyway.
no,
So
you can't get rid of it.
I don't think so. I was about to say I don't
No,
think you can. I kind of feel like it's
no.
built in.
Yes,
Like we're kind
for
of
sure.
stuck with that for better or worse. Yeah, which is awesome. So the
Yeah.
Tiger Cats beer is only available at the stadium, now known as Hamilton Stadium for right now. That's where people can get it. Go to the games.
Go to games, the regional LCBOs, grocery stores,
Oh
and
yeah.
then
Oh cool.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah, and then online and certainly at our place for sure.
That's awesome. Yeah, I can imagine the people who like I said, like every day, there's always somebody wearing something. I can imagine
Yeah,
people would be like that level of like passion to be so stoked for that. So
yeah,
that was
it's been great,
such a great move.
and there is a demographic at the stadium that perhaps would not have otherwise had a craft beer. So it's
Great
really
point.
opened up that component. And I remember during COVID when we were selling it at our hop shop and folks were coming in and people would and we'd do a release of a limited edition Ticats beer, and that's when people were locked in. People would be in their Ticats gear and they drive up and do that kind of off the barrel. We'd give the beers, and it was fun. It was, again, connection, like you said earlier. Like that's what beer's all about: bringing people together and sharing stories and experiences.
Couldn't agree more. That's awesome, dude. I love it. So back to sorry for that Hamilton little tangent there, but
Yeah.
but
Sorry,
refocus on the beer.
yeah.
You good? Oh,
I just want to make sure I don't run out of battery. Perfect.
Yeah, that is important. That is key. So okay, back to the campus itself. So the idea of it being so grand, was that always the plan? Did you want something that was like boom, like you drive past and you're like, what is that? Like even if you didn't know what bench was and you drove past it, it's pretty, you can't miss it. Was that always sort of in the plans, or was it sort of like when you saw the land and you saw the school and you're like, well, I know you kept the facade of the school there. And did you
Yeah.
just sort of were just inspired by that, perhaps, to sort of like, hey, what if we keep that old school vibe and then this beautiful modern building? Like, how did that all happen?
Yeah, like we were never going to rip the school down. That was certainly something we wanted to keep intact. It probably delayed our construction by 3 to 4 months. Like there were times when it was going to collapse effectively.
Oh, right.
But and there was one weekend in particular where we got a call saying, hey, this is probably not going to last until Monday. It was literally starting to shake. So we actually had to go in and brace all the walls and really just kind of stop for a period of time as we bolstered it with a lot of steel girders on the inside. But it was important to us. It was important to the community and just having that as our base and our tap room community. Then it was just the production facility on the back, 17,000 square feet. We knew we wanted to have that. There was a time when we actually thought we'd go down. But the bedrock that was down there was just so tough from a construction perspective. We said, yeah, let's just go out. And we had the land, we had the space. That's one great thing about being in a rural area when there's probably more space than certainly if we were a brewery in Hamilton. So we had the space, and it's a modular building. So, it's scalable as we need, and it just made sense. So, we built such that we wouldn't have to worry about expansion for quite some time. And it's taken a while, but we're now, getting up towards that capacity that we always hoped for. So yeah, it wasn't really an intent other than, this is what we want to have inside. And we always wanted to have the barrel room, wanted to have the cool ship, and we had the space. And then, you add to the component that we had to have that barn where we're purifying all the water. That takes space. That's a real additional component to our construction. So yeah, and in the hops, that was there, and that was, something that we wanted to have, but ultimately had to have in order to be able to sell beer in our tap room. It's since changed, but and then when the church became available, it was just, that was a godsend. Like that I wasn't ever sure if that was going to happen. But the diocese said, hey, we're building in Beamsville. Would you be interested in this church? And I'm like, yeah, I'd love to come by. I'm going to come by to mass on next Sunday, and you're going to have to book because it's packed, and everybody basically has assigned seating. That's why we're building a new one in Beamsville. It just was great. It was just a great scenario. Then we purchased the property. We brought all 3 properties together, and construction, as it always is, took longer than expected, so they needed to be there longer. No problem. It worked out great, and now it's a great facility for us. The weddings, the corporate events that we have, the place is busy all the time, certainly in the summers, and it just, as you said, and I like that term, it's kind of made it almost like a full facility, like almost like a campus feel, and stretches the property. So during the summer when we have an event at the Fieldstone Bench facility, and then we have our tap room, which is quite full on, say, a Saturday, like it's a full property, and it's great. It just has a real vibe and feel, and it's been a great addition for sure.
I love that, dude. It just sort of struck me as you were describing it. I didn't really think about it, but can people like drink and wander through the hop yard, or is it kind of like a?
Yes. Yeah. We have a by the glass license, so people can walk anywhere on the property and have a beer, whatever we're selling, they're more than welcome to have on the property. And we have tours of the hops all the time during the season, and they're incredible. And it's once we get into July, August, and those real prime growing seasons, like we're going a foot a week, and it's just incredible. So didn't have a great yield this year. In fact, it was quite average. Last year was incredible, and every year we realize farming's not for wimps. It's tough. Like we got weather, you've got drought we're fine because we have the irrigation, but you've got some disease pressure, you've got insects. So like it's a constant battle, but it's part and part of again being in a rural area and having that as a real important part of our DNA.
Oh, big time. This, and I imagine, did that extend, like a poor growing season, did that extend to wine too? And maybe the apples?
Apples, we actually had a really good season, which was shocking. Last year we did. No, the grape industry, there was concern, but it's going to be a great year. It was nice and hot during the growing season, and then it just had a nice fall. Not too much rain, not too cold. It was just a nice. So I think from what I'm hearing from our neighbors, they're pretty happy at the moment. And, touch wood that we see it through, because there's still a few varietals or one varietal will come off now. So.
To do that, okay. For the hops, what was it about? I'm just curious, because this was a very interesting summer. Like May and June sucked and was rainy and cold.
Yes.
July through mid-August was 47 degrees every day. Then second half of August sucked and was kind of colder and rainier. And then September and basically half of October were glorious. Was like one of the best falls that I can ever remember. Like
absolutely. So record
arguably perfect. It was record. Okay. It was like, I'm talking like late, like high 20s nearly every day. Blue skies, barely any rain, as you said. What about that was not good for the hops?
It was just too rainy and cold at the beginning, so it really kind of brought out some of the disease pressure that we typically have, like the mildew we had. We did have some spider mites as well. What we really I found weird, and for us, August is harvest. We actually have like the 4 varietals, so within the last call it 7 to 10 days of the month, that's when we're harvesting. So we didn't have the benefit of that amazing September, October. And what I found interesting this year is that there were various degrees of maturity of the cones and the binds. So, you go down one row and there's just this glorious green, beautiful cones on the bind, 25 feet up and around. And then the next row, it's almost like it was only 1 month into the growing season, like very immature cones. It was just so inconsistent. And I haven't seen that in the 8 years that we've been growing. So it was an odd year. And last year was just spectacular. We had, great yield, great quality. The quality is excellent here, in that we have a lot of clay. And that's always the way. Your yield always comes down. Your quality goes up with more of a clay, sandy loam mix. Just the same for growing grapes in our area. You get 2 to 3 tons of Pinot per acre. Beautiful quality, but lower yield. If you're in Niagara Lake, because of the sandy loam, you get 12 to 15 tons per acre. But, and I'd say the quality is good there too, but I'm biased. So I just think the bench quality is so much more. So it also goes to hops. So, Cascade, Chinook, Centennial, very common hops, if you will, across any hop growing region. But, there is a terroir of hops too, that the hops quality that we have would be different than Yakima or other parts of the world. And it's kind of interesting, but our yields are less on a per acre basis. But, it's okay because we love the quality, and we sprinkle the fairy dust in most of our beers. We can't, obviously it's become a lower and lower percentage of our hops requirements over the years, but it's just really nice to have. And it's a fun component. It's like Kaylin and Shane, they like going out and looking and saying, okay, yeah, I think, this one could come off next week. And, maybe that one needs another. It's fun. It's a real different element to it.
Totally. I can totally see that just being, it feels just like a more rounded situation, particularly given that you've got the cider business that you're making on site, the wine side now, even, you're bringing in the grapes, making it there. It just kind of feels natural to have that. If any other product that you would grow for any of the products that you're making, that, yeah, totally logical. What are the beers you use them in for the most part?
So we're using it for our hop water, which is really fun.
You did mention
I guess. But for the season, for the bittering hops, we'll try and use it across as many as we possibly can, because I like to have that feel that we've got our on site, again, it's back to that farmhouse style. But yeah, we do our best on that, but it's specific, and it only lasts for probably the first half of the brewing year.
Oh, and then that's
and they run out.
I mean, I guess that makes sense based on the scale of what you're doing. Okay.
Yes.
Hey, look, whatever. So maybe the first half, people is it? Can you notice it in any of the beers? Because I know bittering hops, obviously, you're not really supposed to, but being that the beer that here's one that's got your stuff and here's one that doesn't.
I would love to say yes, but I'd probably be lying.
Gotcha. No, that makes sense though. It's just very cool. Okay, I love that. The other parts of the campus, we'll jump probably to the next beer in a sec, but just describing it, so you got this really cool outdoor seating area. Actually, there's two, because there's the one that's sort of like tucked, because the building's kind of like I don't want to say a U shape, but it's got like an indent in it.
That's right. That's right.
Big outdoor area there, but then there's like, how would you describe the one next to it? The last time we went, we sat on, there were like picnic tables. It might have even been like a COVID thing.
Yeah. Oh, that's one of you call our two COVID silver linings, and so we call it North and West Patio, and that West Patio is what was a parking lot. And COVID occurred. We created it. The municipality said, yeah, just keep it. That's fine. We'll rezone, which was spectacular. Very, very supportive and commercial municipality of the town of Lincoln. And so, we've kept that since, and it's been great. It's been such a great addition. Affords the opportunity for folks to be inside, obviously dog friendly, inside, outside. We have a patio up top. We've got our tap room that we always keep open as well. So it spreads people out, gives them a lot of room. We have great views, great sunsets. We have music, all the things that you would expect in an area such as this one. And like our kitchen has just been doing a heck of a job, every year, providing just a great, menu selection and farm to table, all, local as much as we possibly can. And it's been great. It's been something that we're really proud of. It's like, when I look at it, we were saying that between May and October, there's about 1.3 million people that go by every year. So, for us to pull a percentage off and have them come and be a destination tourist location has been phenomenal. So we get people in, we get a lot of tourists, less Americans this year than the year before. Last year was kind of the peak. Usually the tourists don't go over the Welland Canal. They stick at the falls or Niagara Lake. But we saw it last year, but not so much this year. More tourists from around Canada. So, but a good mix of local and tourists. And I think that's something we've been very focused on as well. We want to not just be a destination tourist location, tourism location, but also a place for locals to come and feel, that there's something there and that something changes every week. Like, we have 2 innovation taps that we're constantly changing. We have a pilot system. The brewing team uses that to kind of, bring community within the company. So we'll have one of our sales team together with one of our finance team, putting together a beer that they want to brew, and it's been a lot of fun. And Shane and I did the saison about 6 weeks ago, and just great. It's a great opportunity, and people now are expecting and looking forward to that innovation on our tap, and maybe that's a good segue for Van Life, because that was one that we did this past summer, and we've actually changed the can, but we did last summer, and just we have this benefit of in-house market research, and that we've got 80 to 90,000 people every year coming in, and this was popular this past summer, so we said, okay, let's see what we can do. So yeah, it's now a general listing in the LCBO.
I love those stories when beer started off as kind of like just a fun test batch, and then people love it. Then you're like, oh, okay, let's do it again, and bigger and bigger, and it just becomes a thing. So that is sick.
Yeah.
Yes. I really like this label, that teal or turquoise.
Yes.
Is beautiful.
That's a teal, and so you've got the new can, which is great, and this was the original. So I like yours way better because it's tougher to read. This is the one that you're going to see in the LCBO. It's a beauty.
Okay, beautiful. Yeah, it's very cool. Yeah, Mexican lager 5.5. That's high for a Mexican lager. I like that. I'm curious.
It is, and it's dry hopped as well, which is somewhat unique.
Ooh, let's go.
Yeah, it's really nice.
I feel like I didn't. As you're saying, I was like, I don't know if I've ever even had a dry hopped Mexican lager. I feel like it's that's super fun. And this was just like this is just the clarity is crazy on this one. Damn. The brewing team, they just came up with it just for fun, and just
it was the brew team that came up with it, and yeah, they've again, got a great group of brewers, and they're extremely talented, and they love to innovate, and they love to share their knowledge and expertise with the other members of our team. So when we do these collabs, internal collabs on our pilot system, and then bring them to the tap room, it's just a lot of fun.
I love it. I think it's like, yeah, that's really kind of what it's all about, like, and like fostering that innovation internally as well, if that's where it's all coming from, and just letting people, like, because it must be kind of what's the word, intimidating, I guess, to sometimes for the brewers, because you can't fuck up whatever the system is. You're like, oh, I can't mess this batch up, but then you got a nice little pilot batch, and you're like, all right, we can play around. Right. There's no stakes. There's no there's nothing you can really do wrong, right? And that's really fun for them to be able to do something like that, like a dry hop Mexican lager is. I'm excited to try it. Matty, cheers, brother. Oh wow, yeah, you can definitely taste a dry hop. What's a dry hop with?
That's I knew you were gonna ask that.
Mateco.
Dang it.
the can.
Yeah, because yes, that's right.
So it's Mateco, which is great.
Which is kind of neat, right? Like it's unique.
Actually perfect because of the lime. Because Mateco has a strong lime. Punch. Mexican lager.
Yes.
It's perfect for that. That's sick. Yeah. This is fantastic, dude. And 5.5, I respect that. I feel like that was like a real. That was like a serious choice,
right?
And just like, you know what? Usually Mexican lager is 4.5 top.
Yep.
Maybe 5 if you're lucky.
Yep.
Fuck that. We're gonna dry hop with Mateco and do 5.5. Let's go. I love it. That's awesome, dude.
So yeah, big favorite, and still going strong even in the fall. Like, was this a summer beer? No, it's still continued. So really fortunate that we were able to get this into the LCBO and switch that in. So yeah, we're pretty excited.
Amazing. That's always the question. So people basically can be LCBO across the province. That's where, yeah, beautiful. So people can access it.
Absolutely.
But yeah, this is great. I feel like the dry hop is like, it's not like punching you in your face like a dry hop lager. Something like, I love those as well. This is a subtler version, but it's so crisp. Like, I don't even know if I drank this and didn't know blind and didn't know it was a Mexican lager, I don't know if I would have picked it. It's got such a great like grain profile. Yeah. I feel like it's got the same clarity and the same kind of like body as a Mexican lager. It could just be the dry hop does. There's like you Mexican, you just drink one, you're like, oh, that's what it is. You can just taste it. It's one of those ones you can just immediate tell. Am I tripping that this one has got a little something different going on? Maybe it's the raised grain, the raised ABV, so there's maybe a little more grain in it.
Yep. And there's some flakes, corn flakes in there as well.
I think do they usually have corn? I think so.
Yep.
Mexican, yeah. Dude, this is awesome. I love it. This is great.
Oh, good. I'm glad you like that. That's spectacular.
Yeah, this one's really fun, and I feel like it's very different to the Lincoln Lager / the Tiger Cats.
Yes.
Lager, which is great. Lager has more nuances than I guess some people. I feel like it's got more nuances than it gets credit for. So it's nice to have different lagers from the same brewery back to back that are very different. It just shows I like seeing that. It's cool to just be like, yeah, see, lagers are. They could look pretty damn similar, but they taste very different, which is awesome.
That's great. Excellent.
Yeah, this is killer, brother. I love it. Okay.
Nice.
Now the campus. Okay, so we described the actual campus. Maybe let's touch on the sustainability stuff. We're talking about that off air a little bit earlier. So we did talk about the effluent and actually using the brewery waste for, the irrigation to help not only your property, but also the property of your neighbors, which is in the spirit of what it is that you're doing, which is a beautiful thing. Talk to us about the other side. I know there's this, I've seen the solar panels, and that probably plays into the certified B Corp as well.
Yes.
And all that. Maybe we'll start with the sustainability, then move into that. Talk to us about that, bro.
I guess one of the real benefits of creating a company from scratch is that you can kind of create core values that are, true to what you believe in and hopefully what, the team believes in over time. And that's what we did. So, sustainability, minimizing our environmental footprint was a core value from the very beginning. And we did that. It reflected in the construction of the building. And so it's almost a sustainability journey, and that, there's things that happen along the way, and we're constantly making decisions that, and I use this, and my kids kind of laugh at me saying, "Dad, you got to stop saying that." But, we like to think the environment has got a seat at the table when we're making decisions, and that's extremely important for us. So, it started at the very beginning. We could have, again, ripped down the building, but it just didn't make sense for a whole bunch of reasons. Historically, history matters, and certainly in the area. But they say the most sustainable building that you can build is one that's already built. And just leaving it there and doing that was a huge beginning and basically investment in our sustainability journey. So we started there, knowing also that, again, the ability to put our wastewater down the drain. We didn't have any drains. So we focused on the fact that we wanted to purify on-site, reuse, and have for irrigation and fertilizer. So we've done that. Zero wastewater. Nothing leaves the property that is untreated. Our spent grains, easy. We've got farmers that use it for livestock all year round, which is hugely important for us. When we created, we put in EV chargers back when nobody even was thinking about that. What's an EV charger? So again, that was just kind of part of our journey. And during COVID, the second COVID silver lining that we have is becoming a B Corp. B stands for Benefit Corporation, and I didn't even know what a B Corp was in 2020. And it was one of our banking partners said, have you thought about being a B Corp? And I said, well, I don't even know what that means. And she said, well, it's really all about, it's a certification process that's all about, 5 important pillars. And really it's about the stakeholders, not the shareholders of the company. And I said, well, what are the 5 pillars? Well, it's really community, employees, governance, your customers, and the environment. And, basically, how are those as part of your company? I said, well, that's interesting. So I dug into it, and lo and behold, I was able to assess that, this is something that really actually resonates with us. And that's kind of what we're trying to do anyway. As they say, being a company for good. So, that's what we then embarked on. And that was the certification process. It's extremely robust process that delves into each of those 5 pillars. And it took us 10 months. And in that process, as we were walking through it, and amazing, your zero wastewater footprint, congratulations. All the things that you're doing, governance, all the things look really good. What are you doing for your CO2 inventory? I went, no idea. Oh, and I think she literally went like that and went, pens down. Sorry, you're going to have to come back on that. I said, well, okay, help me. How do we do that? And it's really all about, calculating. It's about the data, calculating your CO2 emissions on an annualized basis. So we were put in contact with a company that has since been purchased, and they are also B Corp. And they, in the first meeting, said, so you want to do a CO2 inventory, you want to calculate your emissions. What are your intentions? Oh, we'd like to be carbon neutral. And the first thing she said is, are you sure? Because it's a huge commitment. You've got to commit, you've got to calculate, and then it's all about communications so you can, over time lower your emissions. So we did it. And again, that took 6 months. And, took an inventory of all of our scope 1, 2, and 3 emissions, the different like direct, indirect, and then, as detailed as employee commuting, and calculated all of those emissions and realized that, we weren't really doing a good job. And that, we had that first year was about 1,200 metric tons, and we weren't doing preventative maintenance. There were a whole bunch of things that we didn't really do well. But we then knew what that was. We went back to B Corp, and B Corp said, okay, we went through the entire process, and we just made it over a minimum score in order of being certified B Corp. And then you have to change your articles of association to say that you're a company for good for all stakeholders, not just shareholders, which we did. What I love about it is it's transparent. If you were to Google bench B Corp, you'll see exactly what our scores are. Like the transparency piece is hugely important. And then there's a recertification every 3 years, which I think, makes companies want to be better and improve on an annualized basis. So we increased our score by 16%, and most of that was in governance and important things that as a young company perhaps didn't have, but been able to build up over time. So it's been a great thing for us. It's a godsend. We want to really continue to grow and to be a better company. And then on the carbon footprint perspective, we've now lowered our emissions. So we're 3 times the volume since 2020, but we're less than half of the emissions. So we've lowered our emissions that much. And then what we do to obtain what's called a carbon neutral certification, we actually calculate what our emissions are to the last metric ton, and then we go into the market and we purchase offsets, which are created by projects around the world. We've been focused on a lot of solar projects that have what's called additionality. So these projects would not have been able to continue, and typically they're in countries that have tougher issues with generating power without the additional income that's created with the sale of this offset. So we did that, and we purchased the offsets. Net brings you to zero, and it's certified, and we do that annually. So it's a thing. It's a huge commitment. It engages the entire team. I think the bench team really believe in it. It just shows that core values mean a lot, and that's something that we've just been focusing on. So the last piece and latest of our sustainability journey is 275 solar panels on our roof, which is incredible. It's going to basically be about 30% of our annual electrical capacity. So we're generating that from the sun. We're not just farming apples and hops now. We're farming sunshine, and it's great. And it's now up and running, and it's about 220,000 kilowatt hours annually, and that's again part of our sustainability journey. So there's a few more things we want to work on, but it's just constantly doing our best to lower our carbon footprint and minimize our environmental footprint in the community.
Dude, that's awesome. Thank you for breaking that down. Farming Sunshine might be the name of the episode. That's really cool. I didn't realize that the B Corp, and sorry about the camera. I don't know why the camera just froze. So just thank you for continuing. You went
no problem. No,
super pro. I want to give you a heads up, and you just kept it moving. I appreciate you. I didn't realize that the B Corp was, I guess, like a sort of like metrics that you had to sort of meet. That's interesting to me. That's sort of how that works. And I guess it kind of makes a lot of sense. Is it the same the B Corp, is that, I'd only heard of it in American companies. Is it the same thing or is it a different thing?
Same thing. It's global. So B
Okay.
Labs is a nonprofit. It was started in 2006 in
Okay.
Philadelphia. So it was started in the US, but it is global. There's about 9,000 B Corps globally. From memory, it continues to go up. But the ability to take the B Corp or B Impact Assessment, which is the actual certification questionnaire, for lack of a better term, it's open to anyone. You can go online, you go through that, and it's really helpful. Even if there's not an end game of certification, it's just something that is really helpful. And I think 120,000 companies have taken that, but there's only about 9,000 B Corps. So
Wow. So it's hard to
yeah.
get into.
It is, and I think there's 8,000 breweries in the U.S., and I believe there's 18 B Corps in the U.S. from a brewery perspective. So New Belgium is B Corp, Allagash. There's a few others that I really have a lot of time for, and it's not easy. But it's worth it. It's like I'm really hoping that, in discussions that I'm having with folks, that if that's something that people are interested in, it's totally worthwhile in doing, and it's an investment, but it's something that I think is better for your company long term.
And it's worthwhile from the perspective of it forces you to just take better actions with the way that you sort of manage the business period, as far as the manufacturing side, and sort of making it the most. Yeah.
That too. When you think about, like, what's more important than those 5 pillars, when you think, like, the community, environment, your employees, customers, and governance, like that, those are should be guiding forces for any company, whether new or a mature business. So what I find is that it helps with the recertification process and the transparency. It helps you just want to you want to do better, and in so doing, you need to do better with respect to each of those 5 pillars, and what you're doing with respect to each of those. The environmental piece, which I really like, has a sustainability framework that flushes out any greenwashing. So any B Corp, there is a real high there's zero probability, but a high probability that there's none greenwashing at all, because, like, every document that I went through, everything that I did, including them asking me about the the carbon neutral certification, was completely walked through, and calls were made and visits were made. People in Philadelphia didn't know what a MAFRA was, Ontario Ministry of Agriculture. Well, they did after our process, our 10-month process. So it's hugely important. And now with Bill C-59, which is part of the Competition Act in 2024, was upgraded to prevent greenwashing. So companies that are saying things that potentially aren't true, private actions can occur. So private folks can say, "Hey, I don't really agree with what you're saying. I think that's not true, and I'm going to bring an action against you to have you prove it." Well, I think that's a good thing, because people virtue signaling, saying that they're doing something that perhaps they're not, isn't good for all the other folks that are doing it. And when we started doing this at the very beginning, and it was another banker who said, you need to tell more people. We just did it because it was the right thing. We're farmers. We're living in our business is in a rural area. Again, we've got all these amazing stewards of the land on either side of us. So we just did it. And then one of our banks said, "Hey, you're doing this, that, and B Corp, and you're not telling anyone." I said, "Well, yeah, I guess maybe I'm not a really good storyteller," which I'm sure you could probably assess already this evening. But so that's what we did. So, like, 2 years ago, and that kind of was the impetus, or the catalyst, if you will, to rebrand and start. So we put the B Corp certification on the side of our can. We talk about our zero wastewater footprint, and it's more out there in terms of the things that we're doing, and really not for any other reason than to say, hey, this is a thing that we all have to do. It's important. It's one planet, and if we can all just do a little bit and do it for the reasons that are right for the planet, then that's a good thing. That's really where it all came, and that's where our rebranding came. It's pretty basic, pretty simplistic, but it's just kind of what we're all about. We're pretty simple, pretty basic country folks, and yeah, pretty proud of it.
Oh man, dude, the rebrand looks clean. I think there's something we've said this on here a million times. I think I'm looking at the cans now, and just the color blocking is, I don't know. I feel like it's one of the most recognizable way, and because you got the color blocking and then the two lines above it, and the two lines are different colors. The top line's the same color as the main color, and it's like if I saw them on the shelf together, it just like boom, it stands out. And I feel like any brand that does that stands out. I think the colorful, fun cans, I think they're awesome. But if you're thinking it from a shelf perspective, I think there's a part like, and you're saying simplistic. I know you're downplaying it, but I don't know. I think sometimes simple is better when it comes to stuff like this, particularly like you're a heavy distribution brand. You are on shelves in places that you don't have control over, as opposed to your own hop shop and everything that you've got on premise. So keeping them like this, I don't know. I think this was the move, dude. It looks so clean, classy as well. Simple. I don't know. Sometimes simple is better. I imagine over a lifetime, that's something, a conclusion that you've reached. Because often, we overcomplicate things as humans a lot of the time.
Just like, yeah, exactly. So thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's very good, man. I love that. And that's cool. Okay, so then they got the solar panels. So the solar panels are essentially just another part of sort of like all of the overarching like ethos within the company to just do things in the greenest way possible, legitimately not greenwashing. And I always forget about that term, but yes, when people are like, because you're buying products and you read stuff and like, oh yeah, we do this, this, and this, and you just got to take their word for it. But I guess technically anybody can say anything on a package. So the certified B Corp means that it's like a stamp of approval that can't be manipulated. Because I think I have heard, correct me if I'm wrong, that you can almost like you have to pay for the organic one, and it kind of doesn't mean anything. Is that true, or is that something that I've heard, like something along those lines? Does that sound right?
That's a good question. For an organic certification in terms of say malt or hops or
I'm even just thinking like if you're buying cereal or like just something in the supermarket,
yes.
like the or butter or something or produce where it's like, here, certified organic. And this could be obviously in the States. Maybe I watched a documentary or I saw something online where it was like, sometimes those things, if money exchanges hands, you can get, because there's a difference between the certified B Corp, which you're explaining, because that's a non-profit that does their thing. And it sounds like they're pretty hardcore, because if there's 120,000 businesses that did it, and would you say 8,000 that got it? That's
9,000.
9,000. That's those numbers kind of speak for themselves, because that means they're saying no because they didn't meet these strict criteria. Whereas what I believe, I could be tripping balls, but I'm pretty sure I heard that you can sort of pay to get something. And so, because I know there's different ones. There's like certified organic, and I know like there's like I don't know if fair trade is just coffee, but something along those lines where there's like different levels of it and they mean different things. Does that sound familiar at all, or is it probably?
It sounds familiar, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe
my wife buys a lot of organic stuff, so I'll have to check it out. Take a look in the kitchen.
Yeah, so do we. I was just like, you just trust it. I guess like we buy almost exclusively as much as possible if we can get organic stuff, and you pay more for it. But maybe what I'm thinking of is like, what does it mean? Like maybe it's like no pesticides, but maybe if it's just some little small thing that isn't worth that extra money. If you're buying broccoli, because I know there's certain produce that the pesticides can get through the skin of the fruit or vegetable, and so there's certain ones, I believe it's things like cucumbers or whatever, are better to get the organic version than the regular one, things like that. But then there's some where it's like it makes no difference at all. I wasn't sure if that had anything, if that was familiar, or if it was kind of like a adjacent, at least to this sort of conversation you're having. Maybe it's a little bit different, because the B Corp seems highly specific and about practice, yes. Like deeply about practice. Is it just manufacturing places can get B Corp? Is that right?
No, all different types of companies.
Okay. So say if you're like, I think it's just like a cool concept. So say if you're like, we're on like a digital company that doesn't have a physical space, was that even Would that even be a
There
thing?
is physical space that I think could be challenging, but I'm not sure. That's a good question. There are a real, interesting group of companies that are B Corp certified. So,
So it could be
but yeah,
there's ways to do
but
it.
virtual,
Maybe.
I'm not sure.
Interesting. Okay. That's cool, man. Is there any other parts of that sustainability sort of stuff that you guys are doing that we haven't touched on?
We're always looking for innovation, and so CO2 capture is one that we're looking at currently.
Okay.
There are a couple machines there that capture CO2, scrub, and reuse. We haven't made that investment, but we were selected along with a winery next to us who won Winery of the Year in Canada 2 years ago, Malivore, if you're familiar with that. Just amazing, amazing Pinots. And so we're working together with Laurentian University in a carbon capture project where they actually bring us a massive tote full of algae, and we'll then connect that to some of the blow-off valves, I guess, from our fermentation tanks. And basically it's sequestered in this algae and it grows. And they're in these really effervescent pink, cool totes that we then basically move from fermenter to fermenter. And it sequesters a component of CO2. So it's been interesting. We're into our second year. We're going to do it for 3 years. And we think we sequestered about 18 metric tons last year, which is not nothing. It's a small percentage of what we're emitting annually, but so it's cool. So we're always looking at things like that to work with, other companies for innovation, and it's been fun working with Malivore as well. So
yeah, they're awesome. Hell yeah! I guess it is arguably more important for a brewery of your size to be looking at things like this, just in the sheer just output of everything, product waste, the whole lot. I did declare. I forget to ask you before. The size. What's the size of your main? What do you call it? Like the mash, the kettle, and then the fermenters that you've got going. I know you said that you expanded, obviously, to you took part of the funk side as well for the clean. What's the general vibes?
Yeah, so we have a 50 hect 4-vessel NSI brew house, which we've had from the very beginning. So yeah,
I remember the video of the trucks driving.
Yeah, coming across BC.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Cool.
So yeah, that's been great for us. And then we've increased, so we now have 200 hectoliter tanks as well as our hundreds. We have a couple 50s.
Do you do 4 turns to fill up the 200s?
Yeah. So yeah, we're brewing a lot more these days, and we're not 7 days a week yet, but when you look at the fermentation times of cider, lager being the largest fermentation times to then our ales, and then RTDs at the very minimum. So we have a flash pasteurizer on site now, which has been huge for us as well. And again, like we were sending out our cider and RTDs to be pasteurized and then brought back. So you can imagine the CO2 footprint that we've brought down on that. Just having that in house. So the flash has been spectacular. We've been happy with it, and it's not the tunnel, but we haven't had any issues, and we monitor for a week after flash, and just in case, God forbid, there are any things that were not picked up in flash, but never happened. So then so all these things that just continue to add to our quality. We obviously two full-time lab staff we've had since the inception. It's important that we maintain that oversight on our beer from beginning to end, and then we have a 6-month library full of each one of our production runs, so we can kind of watch them and monitor. So all that stuff kind of together helps us with quality and allows us to increase capacity and volume.
That's sick, man. Yeah, the pasteurizer seems to be key. Even if it's smaller, I guess it doesn't matter, like, as long as it does the job. I know the tunnels are like 7 figures, like big.
Huge. And just massive size. And we just don't have the space.
Huge. Yeah.
Huge.
Just take up. Yeah, I've seen some crazy ones that are like really big. I've seen some like a bunch of different sizes. So it's at least you've got it. Is it because cider definitely needs it, right? Like you have to pasteurize cider. Yeah. Whereas, like, do you pasteurize the beer then, or do you just do the cider?
Cider and RTDs, and our non-alcs.
Oh yeah, of course, non-alcs. Yeah. So the beer doesn't. The beer is almost like a bonus, but it's probably not even really worth the time or
Yeah, and
hassle.
I don't know.
They're clearly shelf stable.
Yes, and I'm old school. Like, I'm not. I don't want to pasteurize a hazy. You know, come on. I can't.
Yeah, smoothie sour maybe, but not a haze. Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know if I've ever had a pasteurized hazy. Would it just kill all the beautiful things about it?
I think so, but I haven't either, to be honest. So, or I haven't knowingly.
Knowingly, yeah, that's a good point. I just wonder some of the the at least in the States, the national brands that have to just be on the road for all this time. That pasteurizing might be a good thing, but yeah, I don't know for sure. But okay, that's sick, man. I love it. All right, how about we take a little quick pause? I imagine it's time, and then we'll jump into that next one.
Great,
Alrighty.
Excellent.
We'll be right back.
Okay,
and we are back. And Matthew, if I may call you Matthew,
yes,
we are going to go into pale ale territory now with Ripple Effect right here. Very cool. Now, is this a new? I don't even think I've seen this one.
Yes. So you've got the nice rebranded one. This is the one that we had, and we've rebranded it just to freshen it up a little bit. It's a
lighter
great
blue.
Beer. Yeah, lighter blue. It's interesting. I love this beer. It's a nice pale ale. It's malt forward. It's a really nice kind of addition to our portfolio of IPAs and lagers. The hops, really derive a lot of the hops that we have on site. The 3 C's. There's Willamette in there as well, which is really interesting. It's really nice. We're finding the demographic that's drinking this. Again, I would sometimes, and again, the market research that we have, the benefit of our tap room. I thought it'd be, folks like me that would be drinking this, an older group of, beer drinkers that perhaps would like this stuff. But we're finding the demographic, including, my 2 oldest daughters, like younger women are liking this beer. They're liking it. It's just a little different than, what is out there. It's not an IPA. It's a nice, easier drinking beer to have. It's kind of the opposite of the RTDs that a lot of the kids are drinking these days. It's really bizarre. It's not something that I would have thought. So we freshened it up. We just gave it a new kind of look, and just kind of made it a more vibrant part of our portfolio. So yeah, it's great. I love it. It's a great beer.
Love to hear that. I love to hear that that women are into it, because this is clearly it's like an American style or West Coast style pale ale, which is, I'm a huge fan of these as well. I'm a big haze boy, but these are incredible. So these were always one that like us older dudes who are more into beer a little while ago. Obviously, you predated me. I was the last 20. You're hitting the 90s, so you're an OG. I respect it. This if you thought of a pale ale, this is what a pale ale was prior to 2015, 16, 17 type thing. And I feel like a lot of the newer drinkers don't always know that that's the case. Like, what's going on? I thought an IPA was yellow and milky looking, like short Hills. So anyway, I love it. This is brilliant. I'm excited to try it.
Cheers.
Money. What is this? Five even. Yeah. This is really I can see why, because typically I wasn't sure whether to expect a punch in the tongue or a chill, because these can go either way. And this is definitely more on the chill side. So it's definitely more on the bitter grapefruit pith, a little bit on the dank side with the citrus, but more like that the old school, like, you remember the bitter in the 2010s, there was the, like, what do you call it? It was like the bitter wars. Like, it was just trying to rip your tongue off. Like, breweries were just trying to get as crazy as possible. So sometimes it can be like that, but I know I'm happy to see that beers like this exist still in the market that are approachable of this style that isn't haze. Because I don't know about you, but every drinking session I like to mix up between this and like haze. Yeah. So it's very. I wouldn't have picked young women to be drinking it, because it just, or even young people, period. But not even young women. I want to pick on women, that just young people, period, because they weren't around when this was popping.
It gave me gave me hope, and it was like a lot. It was quite interesting, and again, we really lean into the market research, and we ask a lot of questions of folks that are there with us and at the tap room, and it's great. It's so we really wanted to ensure that we had a pale ale, and now we're really confident of it. We've done the rebrand just to kind of freshen it up a bit from a branding perspective, and yeah, we'll see how it goes.
I love it, man. It's very cool. Does this say that the can doesn't say the hops? You know the hops off the top of your head?
Yeah, it's like it's the old for it. It's effectively the ones that we have on site, albeit we're getting from others. But yeah, Willamette is one of the main hops in that, which is pretty interesting.
So Chinook, Centennial, Cascade, and Willamette.
Yeah,
I love it. It's this is great, man. And is this an LCBO SKU as well?
it is. Yes,
yeah. It is. Everywhere?
Yes. Yep.
How so in the tap, like you said, you've got that cool, you obviously got the tap room, so you're physically seeing the people and being able to at least get qualitative demographics about the people who are into it. But the LCBO, how's she moving? What's the vibes there?
It would be our fourth bestseller. So yeah,
wow.
We need to push it a bit more, but yeah, it's if it can just sit nicely in that pale ale category and do well and like you say, have people enjoying it as kind of an addition to what they would typically always drink, maybe the hazy or the lagers, then that's great. That's what we want. It just kind of to fit in there in a nice position, but maybe not everyone's favorite, but a nice go-to from time to time.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's I wonder how, because I always think when people bring it up, hey, what's like say on Reddit, someone asks a question, you're like, oh, what's a good play? What are some of the best year-round like West Coast IPAs or whatever that you can get in Ontario? And there's really few and far between, at least in the LCBOs and even breweries themselves. For the most part, it's very few that are regular, that are year-rounders. Compared to say maybe Quebec, I feel like there's a bit more out there, or at least like you said, you're out in BC. BC is all lagers and Westies. I know they got some haze too, but like it's different world. So I feel like Ontario specifically is short for this style, as in they need to we need more. So I was very happy. I didn't realize. I thought this was. I just assumed it was going to be a hazy IPA, a hazy pale ale. I'm sorry. So this is very cool to me to see that there's a year-round 5% crushable, still nice, bitter, pithy, got nice citrus going on, malt forward, like as you said, pale ale that's that kind of balances out not only your portfolio but also people's drinking sessions. That like I wonder through all of that. Say I wonder what do we got to do to get more people onto this? Like, do more breweries need to make it, and the LCBO needs to support them more? Is it just like education brick by brick with each person who comes into a tap room, and they'll come in there and you're able to introduce them to styles like this? Like, do you have any thoughts on sort of the way to kind of get more this type of beer into more hands and more glasses?
Yeah, liquid on lips, I guess. It's getting it in people's hands and getting them an opportunity to try it and go, hey, you know what, this is pretty good. This is a nice change from perhaps what I'm drinking, more on a mainstream or frequent basis. So yeah, that's what we're finding, and it's interesting just getting that. We want to have those conversations every time when folks are coming in, like, what do you think about this? You've done this as part of a flight, like, how did that fit in with all the others? So we're always asking questions. It's a real iterative process, and it's fun. And that's how we continue to build our portfolio, because consumers' tastes are evolving.
Yep, totally. Yeah, it's a it's such an interesting one. So it's good that at least you guys are doing that, and that now you've got some, at the very least, some qualitative data as far as the types of people that are into it. Yeah, I think that's the most encouraging thing, that there's younger folks that are drinking.
Yeah.
So it's not just maybe like OG beer nerds having nostalgia.
And I said, okay, this is a phase, but I saw it like for the last 5-6 months. It's been great. And, we have beer allotments, and that's also a way of seeing what the folks at bench and the bench team are drinking, and they get to choose whatever they want. So to see that that again, folks were bringing the ripple effect home with them. I was like, okay, this is good. This bodes well. So again, anything like that can help.
Interesting. Is this the only beer in the portfolio that is of this style of like the American / West Coast IPA?
It is like we do have from time to time, in our innovation taps, but currently we don't. So yeah,
okay.
It's the one. So yeah, it's kind of the Lone Ranger, for lack of a better term, but hopefully it stands out because of that.
Yeah, and one is kind of fine. Like it doesn't if the market can't sustain more than that as well. Obviously, you're not trying to,
right?
Put
you gotta
smash
that's true.
people over the head with it, right? But it's interesting. Yeah, I kind of just wonder. I always feel like Ontario's being gripped, and not just Ontario, but I know we're speaking about that, but just being kind of gripped with the haze thing, which is awesome, and obviously it should be. But it's sort of like this is a style that. I don't know about you, when I discovered it, I went just all in on haze, and I just that's all I cared about. Anything else, I just was not interested in. And then it took, I would say, sometime in the last 3 or 4 years, I just got back into them again. I don't even remember how, but maybe I just was. There was a time over COVID, like as the beer creators, there was the only way to get beer out to the world was to get people like us to post about it. So it was getting an absurd amount of beer mail. So I guess it would probably have just been a bunch of them in those, and then you start drinking them all, and you're like, oh, this is pretty good. Why did I stop drinking these? And then now it's like I actively seek them out. If I go to the States or something, I'll get Bell's Two Hearted all the time, or
love it.
Just because it's cheap, or Higher Life, Cigar City, just like where it depends where you are. But just like there's always like cheap short can 6-packs that are just like you have to think about it. It's just like boom, yep, sweet. Everything you need, that sort of punchy westy vibe, and it was just it's so nice. And I think for people like you and I think there's a little bit of nostalgia in that hits a specific note for us. So for newer drinkers who don't have that frame of reference, this is a whole new flavor profile. When they think, so a brewery told me one time that there's people coming. Imagine if you're going to beer 3 years ago, you think a smoothie is a sour is a smoothie sour, and you think an IPA is a yellow milky thing. Like you don't actually, you're unaware of this whole other world. So it's sort of like introducing all of these older styles, and this I would consider this a modern take on it, like the old, I guess it's probably a little more red or amber for the really, the ones that the 2000s / even the early 2010s ones were probably more along those veins from memory. Do you remember in the 2000s? Because once again, you're ahead of your time. Like, and I mean this with all respect. I think it's awesome that you were drinking craft beer all over the world in the 90s. That's sick, dude. I wish I was. I mean, I was of age. 99. I was of age. Do you remember in the 90s and 2000s? What was it? All this kind of. It was all basically. It must have been just like the Westy American style.
Yeah. And again, being overseas at the time. So yeah, I guess I did. And now when you're mentioning that,
you probably didn't think about it though, because
I didn't.
It wasn't separated.
And it wasn't craft per se. It was,
Right.
I guess it was artisanal, and it was, made by families from, 50s, hundreds of years. So there were lots of different types, but yeah, I guess, that's kind of where I kind of got my teeth on it and really, really enjoy. I enjoy the malt forward, even though like you, I love the haze, but anything malt forward, I do gravitate towards for sure.
Hell yeah. This one, why did you guys do this one specifically, being that the other sort of two flagships were on that haze? Was this just to balance it out, or was there sort of a bit of a demand and you were like, let's try and get it? Or you were like, no, we need to put people onto this style, and made more of an decision?
It's funny it's basically a little cross section of all that you just said. And, it was, we wanted to have a pale ale for sure. We wanted to have a US focus on it, that style. We wanted to be attractive to as many, drinkers as possible, which I think we've achieved. So, we try to kind of right down the middle, but, with a real great quality that we always have. So I think that was Shane Sawchuk that put that together, and he's done a hell of a job. And continues to do so, and a lot of the recipes that we have and innovation. So yeah, we're pretty happy for sure.
That's dope. I love it, man. This is great. So people want to get this once again. I love it that basically it's been all the beers are essentially very easily accessible to everybody. The ones that we're drinking tonight as well, across Ontario, LCBOs, obviously direct from bench, online from bench as well. But like to always mention, because people are probably watching, listening, and being like, "Oh, I want that beer. Where can I get it?" So, yeah, that's sick, dude. I love it. I'm here for it. So something we were just touching on off air was, and I've heard this in general. You guys do a bunch of contract brewing for other breweries.
We have a strategic alliance with Henderson Brewing.
Yes.
We have for about 2.5 years, which is it's
amazing.
Been a great relationship. We had been working together prior to that, and in discussions we realized that we had capacity. Their capacity was diminishing because of their amazing festivals and event space. It was tough to bring trucks into their facility with all the gentrification going around them and the triangle, and we had that space, so it just made sense. So it's a strategic alliance. We do all of the sales, demand planning, and production, obviously, and logistics, and it's worked out really well. So I think it's allowed them to focus on what's what they're good at and what they're focused on, and being successful, and it just brought it into our family, and there's no real overlap in terms of the portfolio. So it's great from a cross-sell perspective too. Like, best, like that is my favorite. Amber, like we should have had that on here too. It is it really is.
Best is awesome.
So yeah, it's been a really, it's been a great relationship.
That's cool, man. So you do their flagships essentially, like the big batch stuff that they really push.
All their, right? That's right.
Is it the Pearson? Excuse my Union
Pearson.
Pearson
Express.
Pearson, thank you, Pearson Express. The best. Certain other ones.
Food truck, which is their blonde.
Yeah.
Figo Italian style Pilsner.
Oh, that's a bang! I love that one. Okay.
Yeah, that's really nice. So yeah,
See,
those
great.
main ones.
I like that a lot, and just like the idea of it is, it sort of, because this is more than just contract, and that's why I was like setting it up, because I know there's a lot of breweries who still contract to this day, who have a physical location, who would contract out their main, their flagships essentially, to free up capacity in-house. Otherwise their capacity would be taken up by their flagships, so then they can do other stuff, and it's just kind of like easier, and you get it at a great rate and things like that. So it's actually like a smart business decision to be able to do it at a facility, that can meet all the specs and do it the best possible. But it sounds like you guys are doing, I actually haven't heard of any relationship where it's sort of, projections, logistics, all of that stuff. That's super cool. Like, that's like a whole other level, which takes it from a contract brewing relationship to a strategic alliance. Was that like something that you'd ever seen before? Did you guys all come up with that together?
Yeah, it was quite bespoke, and that it met the needs for both parties, and it was all about driving efficiencies and economies of scale. It made sense. There's more volume that from a purchasing power perspective, it made sense, and yeah, it's something that it didn't happen overnight. It's something we discussed for quite some time, and we're 2.5 years in, and we've got some more time to work together, and so far so good. So yeah, we'll just keep going.
That's sick. I like that. Just come up with other stuff. I guess they have needs, and you're like, okay, can we do that? Does it make sense? And doubling up. I also have heard a lot of things about different breweries who are combining. Maybe logistics is probably the best word for it. Yep. Like, I know Town has a truck, van, whatever it is. They help all my friends out, and they sort of work together and just sort of split costs as well. So sort of doubling up on a lot of the things. I'm like, hearing about those type of things, I just think that's like, and this is why I want to bring it up. I just think it's kind of almost like, I don't want to say the future of craft beer. At least it's the short to medium term, whilst it's sort of finding its feet a little bit in the correction, if that's a fair way to say. And I think it's really cool. I just think it's really smart to be able to sort of like get, and beer is going to be one of the only industries where you could do this with, work with your essentially competitors in such a free flowing, like non-combative, like way. Let's just help each other out, and everybody wins.
Yes.
It's very cool. Are you doing contracts? Are you also contracting for others out of bench? I know you said you were making the carbon beer, then you end up acquiring them, which is pretty dope.
Yeah. Yeah, we one other we work with that we've been extremely happy with actually. We don't contract brew just to contract brew. We build a relationship. So yeah, we've been working with Lost Craft for some time now, which has been a great relationship as well. Love their products, love what they're doing, and they got some great hazy beers as well that we're just really fortunate to help with. So yeah, that's been a great relationship also.
Yeah. That's how we got connected, eh? So Shahan's been my friend since 2015.
Okay.
And he was friends with, this is before you were working with him, was friends with Anthony, who I believe was working with you guys for quite some time. I'm not sure if he's still there now. And then brought us in put us in touch with Anthony. And then
Got it.
From there.
Small world. Okay. Excellent.
Super small world. So happy to hear that you're still working with them and doing their stuff, because that's honestly, that's the example I had in my head. Was that I know he told me years ago that even when he got his physical brewery, he said he can't brew his flagships at even remotely near the cost that he can do it contracting, and you have these the actual facility to do it better than he does. So it makes no sense for him to bring them in-house and do them on a smaller scale and maybe not as well, and take up all of his production when he can do other small scale stuff for the brewery, and then leave that other stuff to someone like yourself, to a partner who's able to do that. I think that is like an underrated relationship / strategy for breweries who brewers are artists. I get it. You can be a little precious about your shit and you want to do it your own way, but sometimes like as you said before, economies of scale and just things just make sense. It's just like you can just get it done at a better rate, at a great the best possible quality to be able to meet those needs and be able to, then you can do so much more with that volume. And with LCBO and all the different, now everything's opened up a lot, convenience and grocery and gas and there's so many things you can do with it. So I think it's contract brewing back in the day. I don't know if you remember, around the time you guys opened, it was like people used to shit on it so hard in Ontario. Do you remember that?
I do. Yeah, absolutely.
Hated that.
Yeah. And
I feel like it was like there's people who didn't understand business used to always make a big deal about it. So I always like to point out success stories like that. I just think it's like, great partnerships and great sort of situations that just sort of work out for everybody. And to be fair, 2025, I think a lot of that talk has gone out the window. But I also want to point out that I think it's really cool, and I love seeing that the different ways that it can work. It's so creative. Even just the way that you're explaining the Henderson relationship, I think it's awesome, man. I love it. I love you guys are doing that.
And High Park is a B Corp.
Oh, nice. They got that too.
Yeah. So when Sheehan acquired High Park, they were a B Corp, and they've continued. So yeah, it's there are not many of us in Canada, that's for sure. So.
Yeah, that's dope. I didn't know that. That's really cool. Maybe they need to tell that story, just like you guys specifically focused on telling that story a bit more. So perhaps
I tell them we should tell them together, like talk it up,
dude. We should. I'll text him after this and be like, "Oi, put on your can, you." I actually probably is on their can, I guess, but just I think it's like just storytelling through the marketing and just letting people know that what it is. Because you educated me a lot tonight on, and obviously everyone who's watching and listening on, what the B Corp really is and what it sort of takes to get that. And it shows that there's incredible amount of energy, effort, resources that goes into doing that. And I think it's more impressive than I ever understood, to be honest. I think it's actually significantly cooler as far as it just like makes sense. It's not even about anything. It's just like sort of just do the right thing with everything. If you're able, instead of just throwing this dirty stuff out into the dirt to just soak up, like, hey, do something properly with it, and you're able to like not only help yourself but help the neighbors, help the environment, in the local specific environment. And I just feel like it's just like everything's a win. There doesn't really seem any downside to it at all that I can see. It's very cool, man.
Exactly right. Cheers.
Yeah, I love it. The other thing I want to touch on as well that we talked about off air, should we? I was just looking at the time, but maybe we could start talking about this and then we can go to that to the last beer. But you were telling me earlier, should we go to the last beer or should we talk about the latest acquisition that you mentioned when we first started?
I'll take your lead. If you want to crack a beer and talk, it's up to you. Like
All right,
I'm
you know
amazed
what?
that I'm still up. I'm
I kind of yes, I know. You're not an OG. You're young. You're an OG. It's different. All right, you know what?
Yeah.
Let's crack the last one, then we'll talk about that.
Sounds great. Awesome.
Is this another? Is this a newer one or is this a?
This is old as new again. We've had berry fields, off and on for probably 4 or 5 years now, and this is one we've really loved. And we are seeing a slight, well, more than a slight, a resurgence in sours. That,
Good.
People are certainly wanting them, seeing it in the tap room, and this is now a GL in the LCBO.
Okay, what's a GL?
General listing. Sorry.
General listing. It's okay. Jargon.
Yeah.
I'm learning, brother. I'm learning. And this is great.
Nice.
I was happy to see this in the lineup because once again, in my head, I know we were talking earlier. In my head, I associate bench very strongly with sours.
Yeah.
So it was nice. I guess it's a kettle sour.
Yes. Yeah.
Kettle sour.
Mixed from kettle sour, raspberry.
Oh, mixed firm kettle sour, eh? Okay. Well, what does that? Excuse the ignorance. What would that specifically entail?
So there's, I guess, two fermentations, and then when lacto at the end, it's actually then put back into the kettle to basically kill the lacto and keep the nice fruit sour taste. But yeah, we brew it on the clean side. Didn't always do that. This is kind of a close cousin of the true mix from that you were talking about, Citra Grove. It's kind of the cousin, but made on the clean side and something that we can commercialize and have in can. So yeah, I love the taste. It's cheers.
Let's do it. Cheers, Matt. Money. Oh, raspberry's so fire. Yeah, this is great, man.
That's good.
I see what you're saying. This is definitely got more depth than a typical kettle sour.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Nice and tangy. It's got like is it so the fruit addition, is it puree or is it sitting on puree?
Yeah, puree. Yeah. Raspberry and currant. So it gives, and it's got that nice ruby red flavor, or sorry, color that I should say.
Oh, red currant. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, it does. Beautiful red color. Raspberry and red currant. Okay, that's sick. And it is 5.4. Yeah, it's like that. How would I say? I was about to say it was like a gateway sour but it's not. It's actually more. It is. Because when I say gateway, it's gateway to what we're thinking of sours, which is big, bottled, barrel aged, enamel stripping type of joints. But this is more complex than your typical kettle sour, which obviously are great too, because of the mixed firm angle. So there's kind of a bit more like funk to it, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take that. Yeah, but I know what you mean. It is more complex than the kettle, and it's obviously not quite the full mix firm, but it's just a nice little balance. It's sessionable. It's not over the top. It's a nice overall kind of feel.
Yeah, I like this a lot, dude. Is it the base? Is any of the base taken from? It's not taken from barrels or fooders or anything, is it? No. Okay, so it's done straight stainless with the mixed firm, and then conditioned on raspberry and red currant. Is that fair?
Fair, yeah, but not as lightly conditioned.
Lightly conditioned. Well, that would make sense. Yeah, in the bright maybe. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Well, no, actually, in the bright for the most part, but yeah.
Okay, but a little bit in firm.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, this is a banger, dude. This is it's bright, it's funky. The funk is what's the differentiator for me as far as like that's obviously from the mixed firm side. But it's like it's so light. It's like it's a gateway mix firm. That's really specifically what it is. Not a gateway sour, but it's like a chill version. Because imagine someone who hasn't had a barrel aged sour and mixed firm type of beer, and they go and try that stuff, and they're just like Jesus, like it can be a lot. Even for folks like us, sometimes I have them. I'm like, oh, this is intense. This is a lot. But
like the Cherry Grove and the Plum Grove, the ones that we used to make, those mixed firms were just spectacular. Like a funk side,
truly,
just brilliant.
they were out of control. They were so soft, and they were the opposite of what I'm talking about. They were so welcoming. They were so like they weren't over the top. I felt like you could give it to anybody, and no matter the experience with beer, and they'd be like, "Oh, I get it. I get it." They're just so like, yeah, they were just not. They were just so balanced. They were in the zone. They're just where they needed to be. All of like, Citra Grove obviously is like the more flagship of that side, but like, peach. I love the peach. Apricot Grove was a banger too. Cherry, all of those joints were just like they're just really special beers, man. They were so nice. It's just such a shame that the market has just gone away from those kind of beers. Like it's. Do you think they'll come back at all? Do you have any sort of faith or like intuition that it might come back?
That's a great question. I hope so. I certainly have always enjoyed them and love the complexity and just the fact that they get better with age. So yeah, I guess the answer is I hope, but just not sure.
I understand. Yeah, it's tough to call, but at the very least, having a beer like this from bench that's a new one, a fresh one in 2025 is the closest. Well, that's not true because you are doing the cool ship stuff annually, so at least there is some stuff still sort of coming out here and there, and it's like a nice little treat that people are buying stuff from the store after a fun visit, and they'll see a nice special bottle, and people like to take home the bottles. That's you'll end up with cellars, I guess.
Yes, the one that we have currently, the Culp and Plums, it's a beauty. It's quite nice, and it's
Hell yeah, man! I love it. It's beautiful. Let's talk about the so is it the fair to say the latest acquisition that or the most recent thing that happened that you mentioned very briefly off air that I know nothing about, so I'm gonna have a ton of questions. But do you want to talk us through?
In the first week of October, we acquired the Ace Hill beer RTD brands as well as Liberty Village cider. So it's something we've been working on for quite some time and bought those brands. And I've been watching Ace Hill for so many years, iconic GTA brand, and we really love what they have and what they had and what we're bringing in. It's a focus for us on RTDs because they do it so well, have done for many years, as well as the Better For You brands. Liberty Village cider, all zero sugar, and they have low carb beers as well as the RTDs and the Ace Hill family. So it's a nice fit for us, as we kind of build out that Better For You piece of our portfolio and probably have some non-alcs in that portfolio as well. So really excited.
That's such an interesting thing there. I know that they were the history. Okay, I think it's really cool that now that you own that, I think that's even cooler because if I'm not the original owners I believe were hospitality in the hospitality world in Toronto. Is that correct?
Yeah, there were multiple founders. And yes, and they were and they came together and just did a hell of a job. It was a great beer, great brand, and just did a really good job, and not just beer, but also in the RTD space over time, and then with Liberty Village cider, it's just really iconic brands that a lot of people drank over the years in the GTA, and we're just going to look at bringing them back.
Were they in a position? Were they in a position where they sort of had sort of dipped a little bit, or they was still kind of like going pretty hard?
Well, because Ace had basically sold to Corby about 2.5 years ago. So these were brands that were, I guess, deemed non-core, for lack of a better term. I don't want to put any words in anybody's mouth, but
Gotcha.
yeah, the focus were on other brands, and they became available, and just made sense for us.
Okay. The is it? You mentioned the RTDs. Did they? Someone had told me, because I'd always heard of HL through Shahan a lot, because they would be competitors back in 2015, 2016. They
Yeah,
were like the two sort of brands who had sexy cans before anyone had sexy cans,
yeah,
and kind of had been like unintentionally pitted up against each other, right? So I never knew anyone from HL. We never had anyone on the pod or anything, because I always knew Shahan. So I only really heard any information about them sort of secondhand. So I don't really know anything like real about them. But I recall recently hearing really good things about the RTDs. Is there something with the word cottage in it? Is that
Oh
correct?
yeah. So yeah, that was part of the acquisition back
Okay.
2.5 years ago. Was Cutta Springs, and so that
Cottage
remains with
Springs.
Corby, and these are the brands that came with, but we're deemed non-core.
Gotcha. Okay, so Ace Hill specific stuff. I go to the Ace Hill website, the products that they're talking about here. They got Mexican lager, carb free. Wow, 0 carbs. That's amazing. Light beer, a pilsner, and a Vienna lager. Yes, I've definitely seen those two. And the vodka soda. That's at RTD.
That's right. Yes.
Okay, cool, man. That's really cool. So, what sort of made that interesting to you to sort of get involved in that?
I just, we see a part of our portfolio that we're not addressing, and we're getting a lot of consumers saying, that better for you piece. So, there's the non-alc, great, and then there's the beer drinkers, and it's that kind of in between that they want to have a great tasting beer, but perhaps not with all the calories,
Mhm.
and still in the craft space. And in cider, having a zero sugar cider is pretty incredible. It's one of the only ones in Canada, and it made a lot of sense for us too.
Mhm.
We see a lot of folks wanting that gluten-free option, but with zero sugar is really attractive. So it's really that better for you piece of our portfolio that we're looking to build, and specifically also the RTD space as well, which is a growing category, and one that we want to be part of. So yeah, pretty very very excited, and we think it fits really well in our portfolio.
I love that. So, would these products be available at Bench specifically at some point? To
Over time, they will for sure.
Okay, and I'm just curious from like a business perspective. So you've got the Niagara side and you got now the Liberty Village side. How do you sort of like? Is it sort of like it just makes sense to sort of have all the, because I guess they're already independently running. They're already kind of, the engine's already chugging. So you kind of
That's
just
it.
like
We're going to keep the
managing.
brands intact, and the beautiful part about Niagara Cider, when you look at the core brands that Niagara Cider has, like that rose gold, that berry soaked cider, maple whiskey, very
Mhm.
flavorful, a peach Chardonnay. So very much that really kind of innovation, very interesting style ciders. Certainly not low in sugar.
Mhm.
So then you've got the
I
dry
see.
cider of Liberty Village. There's a peach, again, zero sugar. So great taste, incredibly great taste considering zero sugar and the way it's fermented. But just different. So more of that better for you component where people want to have a cider, but maybe the less sugary side of it.
Right. So you got essentially like two completely different takes on cider.
Yes, and Liberty Village being very GTA focused, and Niagara, being southwestern Ontario and certainly specific to us, but also in other parts of Ontario, but not specifically GTA.
Interesting. I mean, that makes sense when you put it like that, and you sort of differentiate it in that same way. I can see, and particularly like the sugar versus no sugar, completely different. I imagine different subsets of the market that are interested in those type of things. Like some people, just like the 0 carb beer, probably there's people who are hella interested in 0 to low carb beers, just like there
Yeah,
are in 0 sugar ciders, I guess.
yeah, absolutely. And that's what we've been seeing over the last year to 18 months. Just that growing group that want the taste, want craft, want to participate in that craft beverage sector, but are looking for less calories. Maybe not a now. Maybe they feel that that's not, where they want to be. Want to have some, and this is the better for you option that we think is something that we know we want to have as part of our portfolio.
Right. Yeah. So it would actually make complete sense to have all of the portfolio available, say in the tap room in various iterations, whether it's on tap or in cans, because it is a different. It inherently, I guess, it's a different offering, so it's not stepping on any toes as such.
Yeah, it's complementary. We feel in a lot of respects.
I love it, man. I like the where does this come from? Because in beer, as you probably are quite well aware, this doesn't happen that often, particularly in Canada. When I say this, I mean like this sort of thinking of like acquisition and thinking of it sort of a business sense. Beer tends to be lean a little more artsy fartsy as far as like home brewers doing their thing, whatever. I know I'm a business dude. I go to business. I respect it immensely. I love it. I respect the art stuff as well. I think it's both great. There's place for both, but I love that like you're just like going hard with the business. Obviously, you got this beautiful campus of a brewery in the first place, so that's kind of it makes sense. Did that come from your banking? You said you're in finance. Did that sort of like mentality, I guess, towards the way you've grown the business is sort of informed by that and sort of comes from that. We're like, all right, let's just, keep bringing more things into a portfolio and be able to kind of like have this larger offering is,
I think it's yes, for sure. It certainly comes from my background. In a lot of ways, we've built the mothership with Bench. We've got the facility, we've got the experience, we've got the talent from a brewing craft beverage production facility perspective, and really the most cost-effective way of building up the portfolio, and certainly in the current environment, currently is through acquisition and strategic acquisition, not just it's this that like it's something that's methodical and well thought out and strategic. So that's really been the mindset, so far so good for us.
I love it, dude. I think I don't know. I feel like that's going to be like the exciting part, maybe, because it's sort of like it's that strategy. I don't know. For me, that I think I don't know. It aligns. I just feel like that's sick. Like you're just looking at stuff, and then things come up, or you have these conversations, and you're just like, oh, okay, all right. Maybe you hear something's available, and you're like, oh, okay. I'm like, all right. You go back, you talk with the team, like, oh shit, like, hey, this is around, like, you know what, this could kind of play pretty nicely with this, and da da da. And I feel like you just put these pieces together, and you're just like, oh, I think it's like, is that fair? Because it seems exciting to me. I feel like just that sort of there's unlimited opportunity, really.
There is, and certainly as you say, it's about being out in the industry, talking to folks, understanding what's working, what's not. When an iconic brand like Ace Hill becomes available, that's something that certainly I couldn't pass up and have the conversation, and just quality people that have been associated with that brand since inception. It was a real opportunity and something that really made sense that we were looking at again for this better for you component. We like non-alc, but we think that there's a real space in between non-alc and a regular portfolio. So yeah, I think it's being opportunistic. I think it's being strategic, not rushing into anything for just the sake of acquisition. That's certainly not the case. It's got to make sense. It's got to be a bolt-on to our existing platform. We have the capacity, we have the facility. So as long as that is in place, and then we have the talent. Like at the end of the day, and when Caitlin joined three years ago, we immediately kind of jumped into Henderson and the Niagara cider acquisition, and she was game for it, and certainly well positioned in her experience and pedigree and all the things that she had. So would this be part of our discussion if she was not there and the team that she has in place? I'm not sure. We've got great people. We have a great team. We're in a position that we've got really strong people in key positions across the company. So it enables us to do this. And if we didn't have that, we wouldn't be doing it. That's for sure.
Interesting. That makes a lot of sense. Another thing that kind of struck me as you were talking was what it suggests more to me, and probably another reason why I like it was in, like I would say, in this economy, in this time with craft beer, there's a lot of mergers, a lot of closures, a lot of crazy shit happening, but you going all in with an acquisition is a telltale sign that there's like an inherent belief from you. This is how it appears, that there's a what's the word, a positive future for craft beer, and to the point, and not even just craft beer, because obviously it's deeper than that. There's craft cider, and there's the wine and all the other things that you're doing, and RTDs and da da da. But there's like a belief that, like, hey man, it's going to be okay, because you wouldn't. I would imagine, as a savvy businessman, you wouldn't go and throw down on brands that are in the space, and then you're like tripling, quadrupling down on craft beer. And when people do that, I think that gives others a bit of a sign of, like, guys, it's going to be cool. Don't worry. Like, we all got this. I just feel like there's like it's really nice to see. I imagine if I was a smaller producer not doing that, and I see someone like yourself do this, I'd be like, oh, okay, maybe because you can get caught up in your own doom and gloom or whatever, and it's up and down. There's all sorts of stuff happening, but I just feel like there's like I'm missing the word. I know it's just inherent optimist, I guess, about the industry. Does that feel like a fair take? That's what I'm feel that you're projecting, is that you're just optimistic because you wouldn't put money up if you didn't think this was going to move in a good direction. And now
Yeah, I think everything you just said there, you said extremely well. I am optimistic. I believe there's opportunity. I think the right opportunity is extremely important. You have to be selective and strategic, and not jump into anything without doing your due diligence and understanding what that looks like as it comes into your business, and on a future consolidated basis. So yeah, it's I guess you're right. I am optimistic, not just all the time, but certainly about the space. There's been challenges for sure. Like, think of all the things that we've gone through over the last 5, 6, 7 years. With people ask me all the time, like, with COVID, and then supply chain and labor issues, tariffs, like all of that. But the resiliency of this industry and the participants in it, I think is incredible. Like, I look at folks all the time, and we have discussions, and we share war stories, but it's just kind of who we are, and I do have optimism. I think things are going to get better, and I think consumer tastes are evolving, and you have to be in front and center. So you have to be a craft beverage company. Like, are we a craft brewery anymore? Yeah, we are, but we're a craft beverage company. And I think that's really important. And I'm fine with it. I actually really love it. It's a kind of an exciting place to be in, where we're looking at everything now, and it's exhilarating for me.
Hell yeah, dude. Well said. I love that. I have actually heard of people like I don't want to misquote, but I feel like it was like I think his name's JC from Trillium in Massachusetts, was like giving the keynote, excuse me, the OCB or whatever. I think it was him. I don't want to put it on him, but saying that in order for craft breweries to really thrive moving forward, they have to become craft beverage companies, which is thinking over and above beer, which comes back to a lot of the conversation we are having earlier about the cider, about the wine, about the RTDs, about the non-alc, and that breweries in general, it would lend a lot of them. It would be a good thing for a lot of companies to sort of move into that. And it's cool that you've been able to do that so successfully and strategically and swiftly, and just move kind of just it feels like the way you're talking about, just like, yeah, good decision, cool, and just keep building this up. And then you just got this portfolio that's run by someone from the area, that's not a multinational corporation. That's what I personally love. That's what I meant before when I was like, I was happy to hear that you bought Ace Hill, because I know it was some local Toronto dudes. I didn't know that they had sold, or maybe I had heard, I don't know. But the fact that it's in hands of someone who's from here, that's already running this business, that you have the best interest of the province, of the of what's going on at of just Ontario, whatever, like at heart. And I think that's like more meaningful because people do, there was a lot of big companies buying up breweries for a bit, and a lot of them ended up offloading them in the end because they couldn't handle them or it didn't work out well. And I think this is a better model. I think it's better. There's just like someone who's done their shit, who understands what's going on. You worked in finance, you get it. You obviously got a brain for a different perspective on the industry than perhaps a lot of people don't come into it from that as often, from my experience. So it's very cool to me to hear that approach and to see that sort of strategic thinking, and it's a net positive. It's just that I think it's like going to be a cool future for the whole the craft beverage industry as a whole. I think it's cool, and your excitement on that, the way you described that, I was like, yeah, that's sick, man. Like, I'm happy for you. I think it's great. I'm happy for Bench. I'm happy for everything that you're doing, and I think it's like you're doing an overall net positive thing, and give it. And I don't know. I really hope that it's inspiring to people to just, maybe if they don't have aspirations to do what you're doing, because everyone has different levels, right? Like, and that's absolutely perfect. That's fine. But it's just more the optimism at a time when a lot of people might not have that. It should be like, look, man, we got this. We're gonna do this. We got this. We're working on this. Things are opening up. Maybe I heard next spring, 2026, that there might be the federal. Everyone can distribute and shop D2C. B2C directly. They can order online if they're in Vancouver and they want to order from Bench or any of the other brands. They can order it directly. Shit like that. Like, that is sick to me. I love that. So I think your optimism is, I really hope people take that as, okay, man, we're going to be all right. It's going to keep pushing, keep doing this, keep innovating, keep doing good things, keep getting more people into it, keep converting and working on it. I think it's a beautiful thing, bro. I'm really glad to have got that all this evening directly from you. It's very
appreciate
cool.
it.
I appreciate
it. Very, very kind. Cheers. Thank you.
Man, it's great. I really appreciate your time, Matt, man. I see, look, 3 hours kind of flew by, no?
It did. Wow.
I know.
No, I appreciate it. And I hope I didn't bore you to tears too much on sustainability, but it's something
Not at all, bro. It's been really good. I was like honestly really stoked to talk to you, and I was very happy to when we made this happen that it was you specifically just to get this story. And I think it's nice that people hear it from you as well. I wanted to hear it from you, but I've got a connection to the brand, so I wanted, that's me being selfish. But I think that a lot of people, it's cool to hear it from you. You're a big company that's done a lot in such a short amount of time. I think it's really admirable. I'm a fan. I think it's really dope, bro. And I like the passion for the sustainability is super cool. Like, and just sort of explaining how it all, it wasn't like easy. Maybe people see the size of Bench and might think, oh, this is some big company, man. It's for like, no, you're a dude who put his money up and went through it like everybody did, and you had to figure it out and have had a number of challenges that you've talked about very eloquently. And I just think it's really cool. And the brand keeps iterating and growing and changing, and then the portfolio does, and the family around it. And I know from what I understand, you're pretty heavily involved in the OCB and things. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have on the oh, you're on the board, aren't you?
Yeah. With a great group, and
the group, I guess we haven't talked.
We haven't had a chance to talk about that, but that real push for tax reform over the last years. But we got our first taste of tax reform months ago, and we're hoping for more in November, and then January. We just heard some changes at the LCBO level, which are really positive, and hopefully clear the way for the last portion of tax reform that we're hoping for in the March budget. So it's something that is sorely needed. To your point, if we're bringing down provincial barriers from a trade perspective, well, then how can Ontario, not anymore, but we're paying 8 times the tax of Alberta? It just doesn't make sense from an Ontario brewer tax perspective. Now it's only 6 times, but it's still significant, and there is room to go. And implementing a marginal rate of tax for our industry is important, like all the other provinces have. So yeah, certainly Scott and all the team at the OCB and the other board members, a lot of hard yards have gone into this on behalf of, and advocating on behalf of the entire industry. But we're getting there. I think the end is in sight. We've got to get it this time, because I think this is the opportunity we have, and it's great for the industry. That gives me huge optimism that this tax reform will occur, and that's not just money that we're going to start playing out dividends. This is an ability to then reinvest and build our teams and reinvest in equipment that we need in this new expanded retail environment. You need a flash pasteurizer. Sometimes some of the vendors of our product don't have cold storage, so it's ambient temperature. So you need shelf stability. You need that capability in doing so. So the tax reform money back into entrepreneurs and business owners' pockets to reinvest. That's the important piece. So, and craft breweries, like we are employing a lot of folks, and a lot of folks in areas that we're significant employers. Like in Lincoln, we're the third largest employer, and like that's a big thing. And I think that's important across the province in Northern Ontario and Eastern Ontario places. So I think the government's heard, and I think they've been receptive. Not as quick as we would like. And that's just me talking. And I'm sure they're, people would agree, but we're getting there, and that's important.
I love it. What's the thing in March that you're referring to? What's the potential that could happen?
Any major tax reform has to be legislated, and for it to be legislated, it typically has to either be in the budget, which is in March, or the November economic statement. From what we're hearing, it's going to be in the March budget. So, that's when everything, the I's have to be or I's dotted and the T's crossed and everything in place, and hopefully everything's then ready for the budget. It's presented and hopefully ratified, and then it's legislated and tax reform occurs. So we've seen that already.
That's provincial.
Yes, provincial. Yes. So okay. When we have 50% off that, like when you look at the three components of the Ontario beer tax, and basically 50% of that was reduced, which was significant, but it's only 20% of our entire amount, 25% of our entire amount. It's great, but that was in the budget that we just had this year, and now we have to wait until the next March budget. But that's okay. There's a lot of wood to chop, but we'll get there.
Okay, that's positive, because I know the Alberta versus Ontario thing is just it's insanity what
it is insanity.
Ontario producers have to pay, and within the same country, it just doesn't make any logical sense to penalize. And a lot of what I've learned over the last few years was a lot of these laws were from acts that were passed in from the 1920. I know Quebec was 1928, so nearly 100 years ago, and those are the ridiculous laws that we're living under at a different time, and how many different eras have gone by in that last 100 years that it should have been changed, but because alcohol was put through under this prohibition nonsense, it was able to. No one wanted to touch it. No one knew what to do with it. Like you say, having to grow the hops on the land, 5 acres, and now they've got rid of it finally. But you were a pioneer in that time, and you had to deal with that. So it's just like that, but over and over and over. So okay, that's a beautiful thing. We actually had Scott on a couple months ago, and he talked about it a lot.
Good.
Yeah. Scott was great explaining all of that and showing that the board is very serious. Like
he's done a hell of a job. He's done a great job.
He's done great to hear. He was really good. It was cool to understand, and we had the Canada Beer Cup folks on who sort of like talk alongside that. So we've tried to paint the picture a lot for different things in the industry. We'll be there at the OCB. You be there in a couple of weeks?
Yeah, absolutely. Scott's finally relented. I keep chirping about sustainability. He said, "All right." So they gave me an hour to talk about sustainability.
Good for you. Like you can do it. People will come through. Good, man. Yeah, talk about it. You're probably the best person to talk about it. Shit, like you're doing it. So it's good, and I liked it. I feel like that's even cooler because I think in beer people don't always understand the larger businesses of it all. People doing it really big, and I think that you're coming through and being so involved in the OCB, and then coming through and doing this, it really just shows like, yo, man, I'm in this. I'm here. We're doing this. Like it's dope. I think it's really cool, and you do everything you're doing is net positive, bro. I appreciate it. It's cool.
Appreciate you as well. Thanks for all you do for our industry, and keep up the great work. It's awesome.
Thanks, man.
I gotta see you to give you the Don Bradman. So
do you want to meet up at OCB? I'll be there. We gotta talk on the Wednesday. We're speaking on the Wednesday. Yeah.
You're doing Wednesday? Okay, I'll bring it with me. You'll have to come out. Okay, awesome.
Yeah, we'll talk off air and we'll figure it out. But yeah, and then we're gonna be at all the pod. Like that whole week, I just blocked it off. No pods. We just no like all the work was just gonna be around all week. So we'll crush a pint and get some Don Bradman up us, talk some Australia. Fuck yeah, dude. I love it. Matt, stick around. We'll finish up off air as well. But dude, thank you again for your time, man. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for staying up late for us. I know it was long, but it's I really appreciate your candor and just being so forthcoming with all the information and stuff. And I think it's this type of content is super valuable for everybody to hear, man. And congrats on all the success, man. 7 years and to do what you've done in that time is pretty crazy and not, I was about to say unheard of. It's probably unheard of. At the very least, not very much heard of. So, man,
thank you.
Well done. Appreciate and this is your second wind, I guess you call it. You've had your other career. It's your whole second career that's dominating and you're making an impact, dude. So I appreciate you immensely, man. Thank you.
Sure. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on tonight.
Genuine pleasure, brother. Where can everybody find Bench Brewing online and in real life?
Yeah, LCBO, Costco, C-stores, and online and at our hop shop in Lincoln.
The website, so it's benchbrewing.com, and the address, just for people to know, just like saying it is 3991 King Street, Lincoln. You cannot miss it. If you go to any wineries in Beamsville, you'll probably be going ones that are very, very close to you guys. Just want to shout out Back 10 Cellars is my favorite winery of all time.
Yeah, awesome.
Out there, legends. It's right around the corner from you guys, so it's beautiful. Yeah, Malavas, Killer, Megalomaniac, Rosewood, Trius, like everything around there is. I've been going to oh my god, Pearl Morissette a bunch. They said we were the first repeat customers since they opened their tap room. Just you could just pop in. You used to not be able to.
Yeah. Oh, beautiful. Oh, that's great. So that's #1 ranked restaurant in Canada. So now,
yeah, it's like double Michelin star or whatever the hell. I haven't been to the restaurant, just the tap room, just the winery. Just grab a couple wines and stuff. But it's yeah, man. You are correct. You said it earlier, and I couldn't agree more. Like Beamsville, Niagara on the Lake, that whole region. There's nothing touching it in Canada, in my opinion, as well. It's beautiful. It's so good, man. So thanks again for everything. Stick around. We'll finish up off air. But Matt, you're a champion. Folks, thank you for watching and listening. If you enjoyed the episode, smash the thumbs up, hit subscribe below, hit that notification bell so you know when the new drops. Follow us everywhere at BAOS Podcast. Check out the long form audio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Give us 5 stars. Not for me, goddammit. Give it for Uncle Matt, for Bench Brewing, for Ontario Craft Beer, and we'll see y'all in the next one. Cheers, guys.